so we could get 3 wins. Mary Washington, I don't know how good they are. Again, they're not in conference, so I don't really follow them too much. And then Lynchburg right now, they're sitting at 9-8, so it's a very big possibility we could beat them too. So all these teams, except maybe Mary Washington, are beatable for us. So we could sweep, but I think our team is just a little too inconsistent to win the rest of our games. But it's entirely possible because we, at the beginning of the season, we swept Ferrum, and they're 11-6 in ODAC. They're top 3 in ODAC. They're number 3 seed in ODAC. So we do have the ability to do it, but I just don't know if we have late season heroics.
Well, you look at their season, they've had a really turbulent season. They've had their ups, they've had their downs, similar to our women's softball team. When it comes to running the table and trying to make a late regular season push to try and get into the playoffs, I don't see it because that's asking for a lot. I think that this loss to W&L when they lost the lead was just a big letdown.
Yeah.
I think you had all the chips going in your favor, but then you couldn't pull the job off. And when you look at the rest of the schedule, I mean, Mary Washington, when I've looked at other sports, they're not necessarily the best. They're an okay team, but they're not the best. So, but if that's just other sports, let's see if it's the same in baseball. But, Lynchburg, winnable games. Mennonite, it's going to be a really weird test at that point.
And it's at EMU.
And it's at EMU, and not only that, but they're trying to keep they need to keep their playoff spot. They need to try and prove something for themselves.
Well, because of the 8th seed. So if they lose to us, I think pretty much what our season is going to be is kicking EMU out. Because they're rivals with us, they could be a possibility for our team. But, I think Bridgewater College baseball, we're going to be in reconstruction pretty much because Kurt Kendall's, this is his last season. And this wasn't his last home game. That's going to be Emory and Henry. Hopefully you'll be able to sweep them. A good send-off with, a sweep in the series. I think that would be awesome because Kurt Kendall, he's done a lot for this team. We've got all the way, I believe we've gotten all the way to the D3 finals, the College World Series for D3 with him before. We didn't win, but we got all the way there. So props to him for just, being a good coach for us. And, hopefully we'll, hire a good coach and that's ready to rebuild.
It's going to definitely be a challenge coming in the next couple seasons.
Yeah.
You obviously want to see success because college recruitment works in kind of a especially at the D3 level. So what can you offer me as an athlete? So, if you're offering the potential to win championships, then I'm obviously more likely to want to play for you versus going to Lynchburg or versus going to them. I think that's part of the problem that some of the women's soccer team has. They're getting really good stars because they're a number 2 team, ODAC-wise, but they're not getting as good of stars as Lynchburg because they can say a lot more. Yeah. They can say, well, we've won more titles. Well, we've done this. We've done this.
Well, see, that's the difference between, a Bridgewater team that, hasn't done good in the past, but they're upcoming. So, that's the difference between them and then, Lynchburg or anybody else who's really,
but they're going to have to build their resume, if you will, to that you can present to athletes. I know some of the things they said in my recruitment is that they won 5 out of 6 ODAC championships. What does that sound like to me? Ooh, I can run track and win championships? Come on, that's a no-brainer, right? So, but that's just where I come from. I think that baseball needs a lot of dominoes to fall in their place, and of course, we also know that there's other sports going on as well. Why don't you tell about us?
Well, let's talk about an upcoming team, which I think is the best in our spring sports, the softball team. So the softball team this year, right now, they are 6th in the ODAC, and their season just ended on Sunday, I believe. No, it wasn't Sunday. It ended on Tuesday, so it ended yesterday. They split the series yesterday with Guilford after losing a tough 3-2 game, game 3-2, then crushed Guilford 8-0. So, I think that's been pretty much the softball team's season is, you either lose or win the first game of the series, and then you come back and you, dominate or lose badly in the second game. And one of the things I'm most surprised with the past, our pitching hasn't been as good. This year, we have one of the better pitchers in the ODAC, Brooke Loudon. She is, I think, a top 3 in ERA this year. So, like, I think we can make some noise in the playoffs. Again, like, consistency, like, with splitting a lot of games. But, again, I haven't seen them. It's double elimination. So, I haven't seen them, like, see if they can win those 2 games in a row. But, you know, I'm pretty sure I know that they're going to split a series, and then they're going to go. They'll play Lynchburg. We've split before with Lynchburg when they were nationally ranked at number 6, I believe. So we can play with Lynchburg. We've shown that in the past, and our pitching is good. And we have some really good offense. Like, a lot of our players also are really young as well. So as far as going forward, we could be one of the better teams in the ODAC going forward, because most of our, like, really, you know, our better players are freshmen and sophomores.
I mean, you got to look at the softball. A lot of the girls' teams, excluding lacrosse, there's some things that, you know, but a lot of these girls' teams are really, really good, and this softball team is definitely up and coming. They've got a lot of young talent, as you mentioned, and that's going to bode well for them, as they're not losing that many seniors, so they can continue to develop the talent and keep producing that roster. And you're right, they might have an ODAC championship in their future. I'm no fortune teller, but you know, that always bodes well for chances. And, you know, they keep having these back and forths, you know, win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. I don't know. You know, I'm not writing this season off yet. Yeah. You know, so I'm not writing this season off.
Again, I wouldn't mind or think that they couldn't pull off a couple of upsets. Now, I mean,
I don't think so.
I don't think so, because Virginia Wesleyan is, like, one of the best softball teams in D3. So, like, I don't think we're there yet, but we can definitely at least make a run to the ODAC championship. I could see it. I could possibly see it. Because the way I see the softball team, they're just like a underdog team that, like, nobody sees coming. And I could definitely see our team doing that with all the, like, the good players that we have. Even our seniors. Like, we have a lot of good senior leaders on that team as well that carry the team. I think we have, like, 4 or 5 seniors that, like, start on and off. So, like, this could be the mix for success, but I don't know. We'll see. Well, let's talk about men's lacrosse. So
they currently have a game going on right now.
They do? What? Mark, what's the score of that game right now?
Well, I'm going to pull it up there, because I've been on and off and checking their seasons, and you know, as I pull it up, I can talk about their season a little bit. They've kind of had a fairly impressive but somewhat back and forth season at 10-4 right now. Currently, right now, they are down 13-9 to Hampton-Sydney, which is an important game. But you know, you're coming off winning 3 straight, so I wouldn't put maybe a comeback past them. They seem to have been playing well. When I was checking in on them here a couple of minutes ago prior to this broadcast, they were in a very physical matchup. There was a lot of calls. There was a lot of body checks going on. There was actually people pretty much hitting the ground left and right. So they are in a very physical battle with Hampton and Sydney.
Right.
I don't know. I wouldn't put a compass past them, but they're already down 4, and they're in the third quarter with 2 minutes and 28 seconds to go.
Right. And it is an important game, because right now they're 6 in the ODAC, and I believe you need to be top 8 to get in the ODAC playoffs. And that would be historic, because it'd be the first time men's lacrosse has ever made the ODAC playoffs.
And you know what?
And I think that I can see them doing it.
You ready for this?
They just have a lot of good players.
You ready for this?
Yeah.
They've got 2 games left.
Okay. Who they got?
After this. So, let's say the worst case scenario, they take a loss tonight.
Okay.
And they go to 10-5.
Okay. Dude.
They got Randolph
and
they got Ferrum.
And they're the 2. They have, both of them haven't even won a game in the ODAC. So
exactly. I think this is going to be the year.
I mean, come on. Shout out to, like, a lot of the players on that team.
Shout out to the coaching staff that has obviously been put through the ringer over the course of these years, trying to get to a playoff spot. And finally, I think this hard work, because these guys work very, very hard. They are constantly in the weight room. They're constantly doing their things that they need to be doing to get better and better consistently. And I think this year is going to be the year they pay off. Now, we're going to talk about their run, because, you know, obviously if we're talking about them making the playoffs, let's talk about how far they're going to go in the playoffs. And you wanted to mention underdog team.
It could be them. So right now, if it remained the same, I don't know if it will, but right now, there'd be a rematch of the game right now if we made the ODAC playoffs. So, like,
Oof.
I think ultimately whoever we play is going to be a team we lost against.
See-
So it's going to have to be an underdog, like we want revenge kind of thing. But again, I just like don't quite know.
But look at the teams they lost to: Lynchburg, Washington, and Lee. These big Roanoke. These big three that are consistently the bugaboo of each of these sports teams, especially WNL and Lynchburg. They're always good at every single sport they play. They could want revenge.
Yeah.
A lot of the problem what happened today is they got off to a rough start. And we'll see. They might be able to put it past them, make a comeback. I wish the team is best of luck. Women's lacrosse, my advice to you all, it's time for a blow up. Y'all need to really sit down and look at y'all's staff, y'all's roster, because y'all had a great promising season last year, and now you've completely flipped the script and it's going south. Take a look, and now I wish the teams all the best of luck going forward. And just to kind of a side note here, this is my last broadcast here at Bridgewater College. I've had the great honor of being able to broadcast to all of you throughout these 8 semesters, and I wouldn't rather have it any other way. And from BC Sports Live, from Justin, from all of us, this is me, Mark Robertson, and all of us at BC Sports Live signing off one final time.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mark and Justin. We're professionals.
Yep. Thank you so much, Mark. You've been doing a wonderful job on BC Voice, and I wish you the best of luck wherever you're going in the future.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Brandon interviewing our beloved Dr. Brophy as a final farewell.
Our dear advisor.
You guys have a wonderful interview.
So as a part of BC Sparks Senior Night, we waved goodbye to a lot of the seniors that have spent so long with us. But we're not just saying goodbye to students this year, we're also saying goodbye to our very own Dr. Jessica Brophy.
Hi, that's me.
So you spent a good 4 years here, so you're leaving with the people that you came in here with.
Yeah, so they're graduating, I'm graduating, we're all moving on. It does seem kind of appropriate that I got to finish out with the first class that I came in with.
What are some of your fondest memories here?
Let's see, my fondest memories. Well, the things that I'm really happy about are how much the program has grown. When I first came in, the very first group that we had was both radio and the paper, which had been separate beforehand. They were not all one like we are now. And altogether there were like 13 people, so it was very small. And people were not used to working together, and there was a lot of tension in the early days. And, you know, change can be really hard, right? So people weren't really sure what to expect. They had gotten used to working with Strano and working with Bernardo Mata, who was the person who was in my position before me. And so I was a bit of an unknown, and I think that was difficult. And it was really hard for me to get used to radio, actually, because I knew nothing about radio. I'd never done anything with sound at all. So it was kind of a bit of a bumpy learning experience at first.
Some of the best experiences come off when you don't know what you're doing at all at first. Slow learners.
That's what you know, the professors like to hear. But no, I mean, and it's been a lot of fun learning along with students, especially the radio part of things. And then in terms of the paper, you know, the paper has changed a lot in a lot of really positive ways. It looks better, it has better content, it's been designed in such a way, like, I'm really proud of the products that we produce, like everything from our podcast to our website to the print paper to our live broadcasts. Like, we make some really good stuff for a program our size. And the thing that I'm really the most proud of is how many students are involved now. I mean, when we have our Monday night meetings, the room is packed.
It is.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where I'm not sure where we would put too many more people, but that shouldn't stop you from being a member of BC Voice and getting involved.
Well, one day we're holding these meetings in the theater hall. We'll remember you. You're the one that started it from the bottom.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. There have been some difficult times. One of my favorite memories is the night that Zach Staten interviewed the president here on live broadcast, which was really exciting about the changes around May term. Well, it was interterm and then it became May term. And that was a huge story that we worked on. And there's been other things, you know, covering the announcement of the library. There's been stories about issues on campus, and I don't know. We've done a lot of really good work, and I think that people know more about what's happening on campus because of BC Voice, and that to me is really important.
I know for one, I came in here last year as a transfer student. I took your intro to journalism class, and at first I wasn't sure I was going to think about it, but I walked out of that class loving it. And last summer, because of your class, I was like, I kind of like this kind of stuff. So I took an internship doing radio news broadcasts, and so I came to you and I was like, I want to do this, and you were like, come out, and I came out, and now here we are. And
here you are.
I think you've done a great job of this kind of thing. So.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's been really exciting for me, and you know, it's also great because you get to know students in classrooms, and you know, I know most of the students that are involved with BC Voice, I've had them as students as well, but when you're meeting outside of normal class times, when you're meeting at night, when you're the bringer of the candy, like you develop a different kind of relationship with your students, and like you get to know them in ways that you don't necessarily get to know all of your students. And it's fun, you know, like we have a lot of fun doing, you know, those live broadcasts and things. So, and our Monday night meetings are also pretty fun.
So what's next for Dr. Brophy, the bringer of the candy?
The bringer of the candy. That's nice. I'm going to have that put on my business card. I like that, the bringer of the candy. Well, I am, at the end of May, I am moving permanently to Sweden. That's where my partner lives, and yeah, so it's been, we've been together for 5 years, and so I'm going to move there, and well, the first thing I'm going to do is learn some Swedish, because right now I don't speak, jag talar inte svenska, so that means I don't speak Swedish. Yeah, talar du engelska? Do you speak English? Which is the question I always ask, because the answer in Sweden, thankfully, is usually yes. A lot of people speak English, which is very, very good for me because, like I said, my Swedish, inte så illa.
So I think the question burning on everyone's minds right now, are you going to come back to Bridgewater and teach a Swedish class?
Now, that would be really tricky, considering that right now I can only speak, like, 3 or 4 sentences, most of which are things like, you know, where's the bathroom, and, you know, can I have a cup of coffee? So I don't know that, but those are important things to learn. But I would love to try to develop some sort of cultural exchange program. You know, I think that, you know, maybe encourage somebody to bring one of the May term courses out to Sweden, and, you know, maybe looking at the Swedish media system or something. I don't know, whatever it takes to get to get people across the pond. And so in part it depends on what I'll be doing, but I will be checking in on the live broadcasts in the future, and I'll definitely be reading the paper, and I'm sure I'll let people know if I'm not happy, because you know, I'm never one to shy away from having an opinion, and sharing that opinion with people. So
So in your own words, what do you think the program, our own program, BC Voice, the future holds?
You know, I think it's a really exciting time. So, like I said, over the past 4 years, it's really been about the basics and developing, like, quality basic products and getting more and more people involved. But now I think we're kind of reaching that critical mass where we have enough people that we can start to specialize more. So I think that we can branch out and we can do different things than what we have been doing. Such as, I'd really love to see us delve deeper into podcasts. I think it's a great time to revamp our web presence and to think about our social media outreach. And basically think about ways that we can be more a part of the life on campus, and more a part of what regular students will come to expect to see us at events, and expect to see see our coverage of things, and I just think that there's a lot of room for growth, and I'm really excited that Professor Dewey, who has a lot of experience with brand management and promotion, so she is really, I think, a great person to kind of hand off to in terms of wanting to push the organization in new directions.
So where is your career looking at now then?
Oh, well, I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of an interesting moment for me. So when you get a PhD, you spend a really long time in school, and then, you get the job, and then, you're supposed to get tenure and stay somewhere, and that's not the path that I've chosen at this point, right? And I'm not entirely sure what the next step is. I'm probably will keep teaching in some respect because I love teaching, and I love being in the classroom and sharing ideas and helping people learn new things. So I'm not sure what that will look like or where that will happen, but I'm pretty sure at some point I will teach again.
So one last question. Who's your favorite student of Bridgewater?
Well, now that you've brought it up, I really wanted to take this moment to say I love all of my students equally.
Wrong answer.
You don't buy that, huh? Well, no, I honestly, the students here have been wonderful, and I've been really, really lucky to work with so many great people.
Well, I think I can speak for everyone here that we'll miss you, and we hope you have a great objective moving forward.
Yes, thank you so much. I will definitely miss all of you too. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon, and thank you, Brophy, for everything you've done for us over the years. I wish you best of luck in Sweden.
Next up, we have Ian and Ayinde joining Brandon in the booth to discuss Game of Thrones.
They'll be talking about the first episode of Season 8, as well as previewing the next episode. So, guys, when you're ready, take it away.
So, we just finished with the first episode.
Spoilers.
Spoiler
for
alert.
Game of Thrones season
Spoiler
8.
alert.
Okay, hold on, fellas. Shouldn't we introduce ourselves?
Yes.
We should. I was doing an introduction, but if we want to cut to the chase, we can. I'm Brandon, as
I'm
you just heard me.
I'm Ayinde.
And I'm Ian.
So yeah, like we were saying, we're talking about the first episode of Game of Thrones season 8. There's a huge spoiler warning. If you have not seen the first episode of Game of Thrones yet, stop what you're doing. Go watch that episode. Then you can come back. You probably won't. But
Or just mute the broadcast for 10 minutes.
Just watch it. Just watch it. Just watch it while we're talking. There you go. But all right, let's get into it. There's a lot to talk about. And
So we started out with a very fresh taste. The opening scene roll.
It's different. The opening credits is different.
After not seeing the show for 2 years, you get hype with the music, and then you see this. Since it's the end of the show, it's very coming all together. So we have, I think it showed 3 different locations compared to what usually shows 7 locations.
So the first one we saw
Beyond the wall, it starts from beyond the wall, then it goes through the wall,
and then goes
because
to
the Night King basically blew it up with the undead Viserion. It goes through that. Then it goes through Winterfell and goes to the...
No, it goes through the Umbers first.
It goes to the Umbers first, then goes to Winterfell through the crypts and comes out.
And then we go
to King's Landing, and it goes through all the castles, and then finally
ends at the throne. And then ends at the throne.
Oh, that was so awesome.
They gave me
chills. I literally got chills, and then it opens up and we finally get our first scene in 2 years of Game of Thrones, and we watched all together in like a party of 10 people, and we all just went wild when we saw this episode. But the thing was, this episode as a whole, we got everything that we expected to see. We didn't get anything more, we didn't get anything less. We got everything that we expected to see.
I was really unexpected with Theon, how it happened so fast, because
I
thought that would be more probably 2 or 3 episodes. But Theon, last season ends with Theon going after Euron to save Yara. In this episode, he gets Yara in this episode. So that's done. And Theon, instead of going back to the Iron Islands with Yara, he goes to Winterfell. He's on his way to Winterfell to help fight the dead when they come.
And I know you and I have been talking about this a lot, whether or not we're gonna talk about the second episode in a little bit. But I've been thinking the fact that Theon said he's saying he wants to go back to Winterfell, he wants to go help fight Jon help fight the war. I feel like he's pretty much marked for death. But you don't think it?
I feel like he has plot armor because I feel like he's gonna kill Euron because it makes sense for him to kill Euron.
It would be
some plot armor.
This is art.
Yeah, because Theon has plot armor, Daenerys has plot armor, and so does Jon. Those are the 3 people that have plot armor. John because
He just learned his heritage.
He's learned in this episode. John learns his heritage, and in Daenerys because Daenerys 99.999% she is pregnant, and we don't know that yet. And then there's Theon, which has the whole Euron arc.
There's a
I
fourth.
think Jamie. I think it's Jamie.
Jamie?
No, not Jamie.
Really?
At least through the Battle of Winterfell, the Hound has plot armor.
Yeah,
because we have to see the Mountain and the
does
Hound
have
battle.
plot armor.
The Hound has plot armor.
I think Jamie too, because we.
Jamie doesn't really have plot armor because he
I don't
can
think
die.
Jamie has any plot armor.
Because he also said to Brienne once that he wants to die. No, to Catelyn, die in the arms of the woman he loves. He can die that way in Brienne's arms, or he doesn't die and he redeems himself by becoming the next Lord Commander.
That's what I
The 1000th Lord Commander of the Night's Watch.
I could absolutely see Jamie doing that. It kind of redeem himself as an honorable character. It would finish his plot arc from being a villain to being a hero, which is the arc Jamie has been working
It's
up
either
since
that,
season 1.
or he becomes Lord Commander of the King's Guard for Daenerys and John, or for John or Daenerys, because
who sets on the throne.
who lives. I'm saying John because I think Daenerys is.
I think
die.
Bronn might be Lord Commander actually.
Bronn?
I think it's possible he could be Lord Commander for
I
that.
think Bronn is dead. I think
Bronn's definitely dying.
You think
He's
so?
definitely-
He's
definitely
got to
dying.
get his castle.
No,
He needs his castle.
Like it's either one or two things happen.
And, or if even if he does survive, I don't think he's gonna become Lord Commander.
If Bronn is a bad guy this season, because what happens is Cersei gives Bronn this task to kill Tyrion and Jaime, and he's going north to kill them.
Well,
If he goes out and tries to kill them, that would be awesome because Bronn is not a good guy. He's not.
Well, so Qyburn is because in the episode you see that Qyburn comes in and gives Bronn the crossbow that Tyrion used to kill Tywin when he was when Tywin was using the bathroom, which I still think is probably like the coolest like scene because it's
That's
just
really cool.
Dude, it's just Tyrion. This dude just shot his own pop while he's using the bathroom.
I really liked
wow,
when
that's
John
crazy.
killed Jamis Slint. That was awesome too.
Dude.
I want to.
Speaking of Jon Snow learning about his heritage, boy, did he not take that well.
I want to.
I feel like he already knew this because
not the way that he took.
I feel like he already deep down he already knew this because he was able to touch Drogon, and in this episode he actually flew on a dragon. He rode on a dragon, Rhaegal.
Which, by the way,
immaculate.
Oh man!
Oh my
I
god!
think we were all losing it when John and Danny were flying. We're
On dragons.
Yeah, that was just like.
And then Sam tells John in the crypts that he is the rightful king.
I want to start out by saying with that, I want to give a congratulations to John Bradley's acting
Oh my
talent
gosh,
there.
that's who play-
actor
that's
that plays
Sam.
Samuel Tarly. His acting talent right there. He wins the award for best acting of the show of
And
the
not
episode.
And
Of
not
the
even just,
episode.
not even
It
just
was
for
so
the
good.
scene that he was with John when
It
he
was
found
before
out
that.
yeah.
So
When
what
he found out
happens
his
is
family died.
what happens is
Yeah.
in season 7, Daenerys has in a battle, and his father and brother are on the Lannister side, and they obviously the Lannisters lose, and they're given a choice to kneel to know that Daenerys is king, or they die by dragonfire. Both Sam's dad and brother both get burned alive, and she tells Sam this when he meets him, and Sam didn't like his father that much, but he was still really upset. Then when she tells him that his brother died as well, it was so good. The pain
switch was so you could see it on his face, and you're just like, you feel
That
for
scene
him.
was so good.
It's the fact that Jorah went there to show this man off to his queen because he was like, "This is the man that saved me. He's an awesome man. You're really gonna like him." And she goes in and is like, "I just killed your family," and he's like, "Oh, well that sucks." Great acting, and then when next time we see him, he's falling down just like Sam does. He's clumsy, going to John, and then we hear someone fall into Chris, and then John turns the corner, and Sam is getting up off the ground. So it's just a classic Sam moment where Sam's clumsy, he falls on the ground, gets up, and then he has his conversation with John, and then he raises his voice to John, be like, "You're the king of the 7 kingdoms."
Because he's asking
Not just
because
the
he
North.
knows that he's a Targaryen,
Mhm.
and Targaryens are usually mad because they're all a form of incest, because that's how they keep their bonds to dragons, why they're so magical, why they have white hair. And he asks John, would you, he tells him, "Oh, Daenerys killed my family. Would you have done that the same?" He's like, "Well, I'm not." He's like, No, I wouldn't do things of mercy. He's like, "Well, you let people that disobeyed orders still live." And that's when Sam basically says, "Well, you're the king."
Right.
And he's like, I was. He's like, no, you always were.
You were the rightful.
That's
heir
the
to the Seven
lie.
Kingdoms. And it's just like, and even John, like, credit to Kit Harington. Like, I know a lot of people gave him a lot of flack, like in the earlier seasons of the show, but he has come a long way.
He's really come into the role that he's meant to play.
Again, another one of those moments where like you can see the emotion on his face, like the as soon as he says that, like the wheels start turning, like, and then he started questioning.
I think it's crazy.
Questioning about Ned
his
Stark.
father.
He's like,
My favorite.
You're telling me that Ned Stark, the most honorable man, had been lying to me my entire life.
My favorite thing is that's the first thing he said. This is the first
That's
thing
it.
he
He doesn't
thought
care
of.
about-
He didn't care about how he just had sex with his aunt. He didn't care about how he is the king of the Seven Kingdoms. He didn't care about any of that. He just cared about my father lied to me. Like that's
my
the first
entire
thing he
life.
thought about. Yeah, because Ned Stark, the most honorable man he's ever known. You know, the one he's basically modeled himself after, wasn't who he thought he was. And then he found out that Ned was trying to protect him. And then it's just. His wheels were just spinning his head. He didn't know what to think of the situation.
That's why I firmly believe that John is going to be at the end of this. At the end of the show, he's
King.
going to be on. He's
Like-
going to be sitting on the Iron Throne because he's the only one
That doesn't want it.
doesn't want it.
This
And
is-
that was the one scene where you see that he's, again, like you were saying, the first thing out of his mouth was not questioning, you know, whether, like, talking about his rightfulness to the throne. No, it was talking about Ned Stark. Like, why would he lie? Why would he have lied to him? Why couldn't he just tell him the truth? And it was to protect him, because Robert Baratheon would have killed him if he found
Yeah,
him.
but like the thing is, like, they also say that, like, he's like, Sam's like, you gave up the throne for her. Would she give it up for you? But I don't understand that, because there obviously would marry, and he would become king, and she would become queen. But like, I think like he would be like the queen's consort, like how a king is to a queen, but they're not in equal.
But she'd be
power.
protector of the realm. He would just be king.
Yeah. So I honestly think that's a big ruse, and we're gonna figure out that in the next episode.
Oh yeah,
Comes
there's
on
gonna be
Sunday.
a lot of stuff happening in the next.
One
episode.
final shout out, because this is our last broadcast before we're not going to have another broadcast before Game of Thrones ends. So we just one final shout out. Who's going to get the Iron Throne at the end of the season?
I
Go.
say John.
John.
I think the Iron Throne will not exist.
Ooh.
I think it will be completely destroyed. No one will sit on it. And so that's all the time we have now. We're going to move on to the next broadcast segment. Thanks for listening to us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon, Ian, and Ayinde. For everyone who tuned out, because of the spoilers, they are now over, so you can join us back again.
Indeed, just in time for Eli, Michael, and Justin to talk with us about final exams.
We will be discussing what exams look like, as well as giving tips on what to prepare for your finals. Good luck, guys.
What's up, guys? I am Justin,
I'm Michael.
And I'm Eli.
and we are going to talk about final exams. So kind of a preview. So we're going to talk about what final exams are like for those freshmen who've never had like spring exams, because they're a little bit different, because you have exams like it's a little bit different this year because you have exams literally right after your last class, like the day after, and then you have like one reading day, and then you go back to exams. So it's kind of weird. And then like kind of advice like how do we prep for these exams, and like, you know, getting sleep and that kind of stuff. So that's what we're really going to talk about. So the first thing is, all right, what are final exams like in the spring semester for each of us, just from experience?
I would say for me, final exams in the spring semester, I'm just not gonna lie, they're a bit stressful. They can be. And
Yeah.
so probably more stressful than midterms, you know, of course.
Absolutely.
And I would say, yeah, because you have summer ahead of you. So these are the exams to work hard on and do well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, manage your time, hang out with friends. And also, just something I just want to say before, just because it's so important, I did it today, was if y'all haven't done this yet, schedule these next 2 weeks. You know, and so it's really easy to look. People always say, look ahead. It's like, okay, well, that's too far. But these are the last 2 weeks of the semester. Know those 2 weeks. Know exactly what you're doing, what's going on. I did it today. I feel a lot better. I'm sorry that was off topic, but
No.
I had to say that. And so
That's good.
but for me, that's how stressful they are. That's how stressful they can be. But they can go well, and they will go well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the more you schedule, the better you'll probably end up doing on those exams. So that's probably the best advice you could have given.
Yeah.
Because if you know
Thank you.
when you're going to study and how long you're going to study for, at what times, then you're more likely to get it done, and to get it done in segments, and so you're not cramming all at the end and being super stressed out about it.
That's
you,
true.
yeah.
I would also say, I know a lot of like students do this anyway, but just in case you didn't have this idea, ask your professor what the exam's gonna look like first, because then that structures, okay, what am I studying? How am I gonna study? Because there's a whole bunch of different exams. You have like an essay that you just write beforehand and then turn in. You have multiple choice exams. You have an essay exam. So it all depends on what your final exam is. That's how you prepare. So something like for me, like I would recommend not doing this, but a little bit of story time with Justin. So my final exam was a presentation and a paper. And this was last year during spring finals. I stayed up till 6 a.m. writing a paper, and I also had an 8 a.m. exam that morning too.
No.
So I literally got like 30 minutes of sleep, and then woke up, took an exam. I'm pretty sure it was an exam for one of Brophy's classes actually. And so I'm wondering if she's hearing this right now. But it was one of the exam for one of her classes. I think it was like news writing. I think it was that class.
Gotcha.
So I woke up, like just took the exam, and then like right after I went to sleep, took like a 2-hour nap, woke up, did my presentation. I'm pretty sure I got a good grade on it. But I would not recommend staying up super late, especially if you know you have an 8 a.m. exam the next morning.
Yeah.
So I would not recommend doing that.
I mean, I'm glad you got a good grade.
Yeah.
But it's not worth it. It wasn't worth it
I'd
at
be
all.
dead afterwards.
Oh,
Yeah.
I completely understand because I went through it. But yeah, so a couple of things. So what are some like advice that you guys have as far as like how to prep, like things that you should do during exams? I know we have Easter break, so maybe like some ideas like maybe studying your Easter break or just not studying at all and just hang out with family before like the rush comes in of finals. Like what are your guys' advice?
I would say for me is actually both of those when it comes to Easter break specifically is finding time to study, but also really finding time to spend time with family.
Yeah.
Because Easter is a holiday. It's an important holiday for many people, and so definitely finding that right balance. Because too much studying is not good, and
Not hanging out with family.
too little of studying to none at all is not good either. So finding that right balance is a big key for final exams. Eli, do you have anything?
I do, yeah. Justin, you kind of touched on this already, but sleep is huge for me.
Yes.
I admit during the semester I'm pretty bad about having like a solid sleep schedule, but usually the week or two before exams, I usually try and get it to where I'm getting close to, if not 8 hours of rest before my exams. And I usually enjoy studying right before I go to sleep, which is weird. I don't know if this works for me. It may not work for you. But I usually designate the half hour before I go to bed to study.
Yeah.
I feel like that helps me a lot more than studying throughout the day does.
Yeah. I totally understand. I personally, something I've been doing lately is waking up early and studying right before. But something I've always loved doing is studying right before I go to sleep because it's fresh in your mind. It's something that will come up as soon as you wake up and the information will be there. Now, how you study, it all depends, again, as I said earlier, on whether, if it's like a exam where it's not multiple choice, you're going to have to study a lot harder because you're actually going to have to memorize everything. But if it's like multiple choice, you don't have to prepare as much. But my advice, if it is multiple choice, prepare as if it isn't multiple choice. Then you'll get like 100, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, absolutely.
You'll get a pretty good grade on it. But yeah, I would go off of what you're saying. Get as much sleep as possible. And I'm going to go off what Michael said too, over Easter break, but also while you're here, hang out with as many people as possible when you have time. Schedule when you're going to study first, like Michael was saying, but also spend time with people that you love, people that are your friends. Spend as much time with them as you can, because I mean, this is it's just an opportunity, because we're all pretty much going through the same thing of being stressed by finals. So just hanging out, talking about whatever, and just relaxing, I think it's just a great thing to do. And this is a great time to get to know people, just because people are really open while like being stressed, I would say. But
it is, and that's actually a good thought, because I never thought of it like that, actually, like trying to get to know people during like exam time, because you're absolutely right. I like having some sort of quality time with the people who can help you de-stress is so important, and I feel like it's not looked at as being very important, because I feel like you got to study all the time. But honestly, just getting out of that mindset for even a little bit can be huge. It refreshes you when you go back and you can start anew.
And finals is also a great time to get to know your professors too. I know you're like waiting till the last couple of days, but like I mean, just asking professors like what do I need to do for this final, or what would you recommend? But then also just getting to know them, like, hey, how is your day going? Like, how is finals for you? Because I'm sure it's just as stressful, if not even more stressful, for professors than it is for us. So like getting to know them and like really like sympathizing with them a little bit too, because again, it's just as hard for them as it is for us.
That's a good one. What it's like to have to grade all those things.
Oh yeah, especially if it's like papers or like projects or anything else. Like I couldn't imagine that at all. So yeah, I mean I don't really know what else to talk about. Michael, do you have any last comments?
Just some last comments to say is, and we're all guilty of doing this, but cramming. If you have to cram, do it, but try your hardest not to.
Yeah.
Try to give yourself at least a day extra to study that material, because it's just we try to deny it. We try to say, "Oh, I'm good at cramming. It works."
Okay,
for me.
yeah.
But and that's good. And
Yeah.
if that works, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
But try to do a little studying beforehand as well. At least for me, I know I need that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's very good advice. And I mean, I like everyone else, I'm guilty of cramming all the time. But as I've gone from year to year, like freshman, sophomore, and now junior, I've tried to get better at that in particular, and I feel like it's had a noticeable impact on how I performed on the exams.
Yeah, I'm also guilty of cramming. I feel like that's my bread and butter, but something for those who really love cramming, if a professor gives you a study guide, fill out that study guide, and that's pretty much studying, and then you can still like cram, but it won't. So just filling it out, not even like studying it, like filling it out and then studying it. Like I fill it out, and that's pretty much me studying it, and then the night before the test, I just review it. Like I would recommend that to people who are really like good at cramming, but it just won't take as much time. So I think that's all we got. I mean, it's a very good discussion between the three of us. I'm Justin. I'm Justin.
I'm Eli.
And I'm Michael.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, Justin, Eli, and Michael. I'm with Michael. I need all the studying I can get before exams. You ready?
Here. No, I am not prepared.
We
Hopefully
got time.
they come good.
We got time.
Got a full weekend ahead of us.
Yay, Easter.
Wonderful. Next up, we have Poloticast with Jacob, Ayinde, and Dr. Brophy.
They're going to be discussing the situation with Julian Assange, which if you haven't been following along, tune in. There's a lot been going on. And they're also going to be talking about a bunch of other stuff as on the final Poloticast for the year.
All right, here we are for Poloticast. I'm Dr. Jessica Brophy.
I am student Jacob Neff.
And I am Ayinde Roberts, also a student.
Excellent. All right, so tonight we are going to be talking about the Mueller report. No, just kidding. We're talking about, we're not, that's tomorrow. That's tomorrow. No. We're talking about the arrest of Julian Assange and that. So.
Wow. And by Julian Assange, of course, you mean Tom Hanks from Castaway.
He did look a little ragged. He did look a little pale.
Bless his heart.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. So, I don't know if somebody wants to kind of give a brief background on who Julian Assange is.
So, from my understanding, Julian Assange, of course, is the founder of WikiLeaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like about, a couple days ago? Or about
Yeah.
Just about that he was arrested, and he was in I forget where was he?
Ecuador.
Yeah.
Ecuadorian embassy
because I remember there was
in
a video
London.
of him like skateboarding.
Yeah, and they were kind of sick of him because he didn't clean up after his cat and his bathroom was a mess and he used to skateboard along. Yeah, I mean he sounds like an annoying teenager to deal with. But so back in 2011, there were a number of papers. If you remember, there was a lot of diplomatic cables that were released. So, like, all of the diplomatic agencies send kind of these emails that aren't supposed to be made public, kind of talking about, but basically it's all the stuff that goes on behind closed doors, right? All the stuff that's supposed to stay secret. And Julian Assange got this stuff, made it available to several news outlets, right? And then those news outlets decided to write several stories about it. And it's very fascinating. The Daily, which is the New York Times morning podcast, did a really good overview of kind of the process that they went through. And they would, like decide they wanted to write about it. And then they would check with the government, like, hey, are we going to put anybody in danger if we publish this, right? Because that's what you do if you're a responsible news organization. Well, Julian Assange then decided to publish everything. And so that's kind of some of the things that he was, that the American government didn't like. Other governments also did not like. So that's one thing. But that's not what he's been arrested for. So that's what's so interesting about. So he's been arrested for helping Chelsea Manning, then Bradley Manning, hack into some sort of database to get information.
They don't like it when you do that.
No. And so it's interesting that this is what they've charged him with, which is not, that's not what they're mad about, right?
Right.
Like, that's what's kind of so interesting. It's like, yeah.
Well, and I think for me, it's also a question of, too, like, and I think it's a valid argument. I think there's a valid opinion circulating out there that's like, okay, you were just waiting for him to do something more concrete that you could potentially, right? And I get that. But would then the alternative be not to arrest him for those crimes? I guess becomes the conversation, right? And it's one thing to arrest, but then to continue to speak in public forum about the reason why you've arrested and the true goals, and to be very purposely vague about what it is that you really would like to fix and would like to hold Assange accountable for. I think that's a separate conversation too, but in general, this has just been a very significant, well, it's really brought up a problem that I don't think will be going away anytime soon. And in fact, we're going to be discussing it more and more often as things continue to happen, and has been occurring since documents began to leak, and footage additionally of particular military operations that occurred during the Gulf Wars and during Operation Desert Storm and so on and so forth. And so the discussion becomes safety of military operations and or government interests and the success of those interests, or the interests of the people. And obviously that's a very simple way to divide it, right? Because there are so many other, it isn't just one side or the other, because no policy issue is that way. But in this case, that's really what people seem to make it out to be, is either you are supportive of the government and recognize that there are things that they won't be telling us, or you like freedom and you recognize that the people should know everything, and that's how this should work. I don't know. I guess from a personal standpoint, I become kind of frustrated because it so very quickly becomes one or the other. There's no discussion of, well, we're dealing with remarkably important classified documents. It's not going to be black and white. I don't know if you all have experienced something similar.
No, I actually kind of do. I kind of do agree with what you were saying. Like, I know there's a lot of, like, it's been sort of commonplace, especially now in this political climate, where everything seems like there is only there's only two sides to an issue. And I feel like something like this, there's sort of like a shade of gray that I think we're all overlooking. Like, do I agree with him? Like did I agree with him, like, when he was leaking out all this information? No, but at the same time, I feel like as an American citizen, like, I feel like there are some things that if there's something shady going on in my government, I would like to know. I don't think that this is the way to go about doing it, but, like, if that's what it means to sort of get a glimpse into what's going on behind the scenes, because not everybody's going to be knowledgeable of that.
Sure.
But I can actually kind of see where you were going with.
I agree, but my concern, and I hate the fact that of all the people in the world, as a journalist, I have to stand up for someone as despicable as Julian Assange and someone as unlikable and someone, I mean, you know, the man was under investigation for rape charges in Sweden. Okay, so he's not a good guy, but the thing that people are mad at him about is the sharing of information received from sources, from news sources. Now, I agree with Ayinde. He should not, I don't think that there should have been the massive dump that there was, right, because that's why you have members of the press and their editors who are responsible, who go to the government and say, we want to publish this because we think the public are right to know. And, you know, I mean, and the government doesn't want that to be published, but, you know, there's a difference between not wanting something published and explicitly noting, hey, this is going to endanger people's lives, right? And so to me, this idea that you can, what frightens me about the persecution of Julian Assange is not about Julian Assange. I could, you know, he's a toadstool, but
a hairy toadstool.
Yes, but the thing at the core of it is he's sharing information that he received legally. The source may have broken the law to get that information, but this is the relationship that we have with our sources all the time as journalists. Like, I mean, that is what whistleblowers do. They give you information that maybe they didn't come by completely legally. And so what I get nervous about with this prosecution of Julian Assange is, what kind of precedent does this set? Especially when you have an administration who talks about the press as the enemy of the people. You know, how might this precedent be set and be applied to other organizations? Do I think that WikiLeaks is a news organization, a journalistic organization? No. Do I trust the government to make that distinction clearly every time? No.
No.
So, to me, even though he's a slug, and I don't appreciate the way he's handled things, I get really nervous when they talk about stepping in and putting major controls.
So, like, yeah, like, it's not Julian Assange, the person that's necessarily the focus, is rather the principles of journalism necessary, and then, you know, what this whole situation could mean for, like, just journalistic integrity, I guess.
I think so. I think there's an argument for that. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a little frightening to me that you know, you may then have other the government stepping in other times and saying, oh well, you know, you can't, you know, you shouldn't use this information because the information came from sources that are, you know. So that's the problem, and that's kind of this really weird place where I find myself, like, having to defend somebody that I find personally despicable. But, you know, I mean, that's a lot of the time what the First Amendment comes down to, you know. I mean, it's why, you know, Nazis have the right to march, and, you know, I don't agree with what they have to say, but they have the right to speak. So, again, I don't know, it's complicated, and I don't like it.
Understood. Well put.
So, I think that might be it for us about talking about Julian Assange. Sorry, it was mostly me going on and on about journalistic principles, but
quite all right.
You know, this is the last Poloticast that I'll be on, so I can't help it.
No.
I'm sure it won't be the last Poloticast, though, so
No,
keep on listening.
Certainly not. Thank you all. Good night.
Thank you so much, Dr. Brophy, Jacob, and Ayinde. That was a wonderful look into a very stressful situation.
Yeah. Up next, something stressful for other people.
Yes, very much.
Yeah. We have Amanda and Justin. They are back to talk about national sports.
This has been a week of upsets. We've got Tiger Woods, March Madness, MLB season, and the NBA coming up.
All right, take it away, guys.
What's up, guys?
Good evening, Bridgewater. Welcome to another segment of national sports. My last segment of national sports.
Man.
It's hard to believe.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right, so let's start off tonight, just kind of wrapping up the end of college basketball season, March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
It was, I guess it was a week or so,
a week or so ago, yeah.
So for those of you that weren't following, I don't know how you weren't, especially where we're from.
Right.
But it came down to Texas Tech and Virginia.
Yep.
It was a close game there for a while. I mean, it ended up going to overtime.
Yeah, it was a close game. UVA ended up winning that game, mostly because of Texas Tech fouling 5 times in overtime.
Yeah.
I also think that Texas Tech should have played better defense at the end of the game. If they would have had him covered for the wide open three, they would have won that game. They should have won that game.
They should have won the game. The game should have never gone to overtime.
No.
But, I mean, you also, give the props to Virginia
for
coming back and battling.
I think it was good for Virginia. Like, nobody wants to lose to a 16th seed,
No.
but it's good for Virginia, the fact that they did last year.
Yeah.
Because there was not that much hype around them. There was, they
then,
could lose to a 16th seed again, or, they could, lose the first couple rounds.
Well, and, I don't know if you remember, but, the first game when they were playing the
they were
16th
down
seed,
at half.
They were down at halftime, and
Right.
everyone was like, oh my gosh, this is not happening again.
Right.
And they played some close games.
Yeah.
They had to come back a couple times in their games. So
Yeah, that Purdue game where I forget who it was, shot 40 points or all those threes.
Yeah.
But then they had guys keep coming back. They had Guy and they had Jerome.
Yeah.
So they had all those guys come back and help them win. So I think it's one of the best comeback stories in sports history.
Yeah, and well deserved for Virginia.
Yeah.
They worked hard for it. Especially after last season, they were not going to be satisfied with anything less than winning the national championship.
No, but now they have everybody leaving though, because Guy just said he's going to the draft.
Jerome, Hunter, they're all leaving. They're all going to the draft. I think Kyle Guy is kind of testing the waters. He'll see. I think if he gets drafted, he does. I don't think he has an agent. So
He said he's getting an agent though.
Okay.
So, but I think he could be a good 3-point specialist, a good 6-man, off the bench.
No, all 3 of those guys can be good.
I think
they
Hunter
can
has
to any team.
Hunter has the most ceiling, upside out of any of them. I think Jerome and Guy could definitely be good 6-men in the NBA.
Yeah.
But again, it's just testing the water, see if any team is interested. But I'm sure the way that they played in the tournament, I'm sure they'll at least get looks from NBA teams.
Yeah. And then obviously Duke, 3 of their 4 freshmen have committed. The only one coming back for a sophomore season is the only one I would have expected to come back is Trey Jones, because he was it was the big 3 and then there was Trey Jones.
Yeah.
So, but and obviously Zion will be number 1 overall.
Oh, he's going to be number 1 overall.
So,
yeah, I think he's going to be, I know a lot of people were like, oh, he's the next LeBron James. I just don't think he can shoot well enough to be the next, but I think he could be the next, Shaq. Get inside, be really physical on the... Exactly.
Yeah,
I definitely think that.
But that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
So, moving on, we'll talk about a little hockey quickly.
Just a little bit.
So, for those of you that don't follow hockey, I know I'm not a huge hockey fan, but especially around playoffs, I kind of keep an ear open and whatnot. So, Tampa Bay had the 2nd greatest season of all time in history.
Wins-wise, I think they had tied the most wins in NHL history in a regular season.
Yeah. So, they go in with that record, and then they get swept by Columbus.
Yeah.
Which I don't think anybody saw coming.
Well, I think they feel like the Caps have felt for before last year.
Yeah.
Every single year being winning the President's Cup and then losing. Yeah. But well, let's also talk about the New York Islanders a little bit. So the Pittsburgh Penguins, that's my team. I was super sad we got swept.
They're always a strong candidate in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. So the fact that Barry Trotz coming from the Washington Capitals, the team that couldn't win the big championship.
Right.
Right now, the Islanders look like a team that could win that conference.
Yeah.
I think with the Caps. The Caps, their first 2 games played great, and then they just got dismantled against Carolina. So, and I think they're playing right now or about to play tonight.
No, they don't play.
They're playing tomorrow night? They play tomorrow night, yeah.
Because Hurricanes shut them out last night.
Yeah. 5-0 or something like that. So it'll be interesting to see who makes it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting rest of the playoffs to kind of see. Because I feel like, with Tampa Bay out, it's kind of...
It's up in the air now.
It's completely up in the air.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting and exciting to see how things play out.
Yeah. Well, speaking of playoffs, let's talk about the NBA playoffs a little bit.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
I think it's just been a theme with sports. Teams that nobody saw at least winning maybe one game have been winning. Like, especially for the NBA. I'm pretty sure at least every low seed except the 8 seeds have won at least one game, I'm pretty sure. Except Clippers did win one, though. They just won
the Clippers came back and won.
Yeah.
So, but, I mean, it's interesting. And I think probably the biggest game in that first round of games, like game one. Was the Nets beating the 76ers.
Yeah.
And it was obviously it was an off night for the 76ers. I mean, they were getting booed at halftime.
Right.
But Russell and the Nets just had a lights out performance for them too. So it was just I was happy to see Brooklyn win that game.
Yeah, but I don't think Brooklyn's going to win that series. The way that they played.
And not the way they kept it close last night.
Yeah.
But 76ers kind of came out. In the end.
But I do think that it's going to be like Game 6 or Game 7, though. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be a complete blowout. But, I mean, talking about another team that got upset Game 1, let's talk about the Magic a little bit. Yeah. Granted, it was off a game-winning 3. And the way that the Raptors played Game 2, I think the Raptors are going to sweep the rest of the series. Yeah. Like, good job, Orlando. Like, you came from, like, almost last in the NBA the season before, getting a huge upset over the Raptors. I think that's great for them.
Yeah, that's good for them.
Oh, definitely.
To just get that one win.
Yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
So who do you have winning East and West?
So, in the East, I want to pick the Bucks, but they're hurt. That's the only thing I can say. So I'm going to pick Toronto.
Okay.
In the East. The West is hard.
The West is always tough.
It's hard because I feel like going into the playoffs, I was like 100% Golden State, but then Boogie gets hurt.
Right.
And now I'm not 100% sure if they might even get out of this series with the Clippers. Like, I mean, they could
it's going to be close. 5 or 6 games.
I think it could go 6 or 7, to be completely honest. I mean, not really keeping up, but I mean, Portland was looking good until, like, they lost that lead last night. So there's a lot of teams. Again, I haven't really been keeping up with the West as much, but, like, I mean, I always see, like, Houston as a team. Like, the Spurs I always see as a team.
I really think it's either going to be Golden State or Houston.
I mean, I think with the injury to Boogie, I'm going to have to push it to Houston.
Yeah, definitely. Or at least make it a little bit closer.
Yeah, but I think... I want to say the Raptors are going to win it all. I want to say that this year. Yeah,
okay.
I think so.
A huge step up from last season in the past couple
But
seasons.
also, how big would that be for Kawhi to stay if he won? Because he's most likely going to be free agent unless they win.
Yeah.
Unless they win. Unless he's like, well, it's because of me they won a championship. I want to go somewhere else and do the same thing.
Right.
So, like, it's either or for that.
All right, so I gotta cover it quickly because it's my sport.
Oh, you got to.
But huge weekend in general for golf. Masters week.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a golf fan or not. It seems that everybody always watches the Masters.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, huge going in. Tiger Woods. He's back. He won last year. Like, I mean, he was a favorite, and he played solid golf all 4 days. I thought.
Yeah.
And it was great to see him win.
Yeah, because he was up there in the standings pretty much the entire time. He was within the lead.
Right around the lead all 4 days.
Right.
And I mean, he just showed, going on the second 9 on Sunday, he just showed his experience, I think, came into play big time that on those last few holes, especially when his playing partners went in the water. So he just showed experience. And I think it was just great for the game of golf in general to see Tiger win his 15th major, do it at Augusta. I mean, I think it was just huge for the game of golf.
I mean, talking about how long it's been since he's really won anything, like, that's huge for the game of golf and for himself. It could be one of the greatest, like, as far as, like, times in between, like, comebacks of all time, as far as a career.
I guarantee you there will be a 30 for 30 about this. And
there is going to be a 30 for 30.
There will be a 30 for 30 about this.
Oh, there has to be, because, I mean, I don't know about you, but, like, seeing all of this stuff about, like, Tiger Woods, like, 2 or 3 years ago, I would have never called this at all.
I mean, even he said it himself. He was like, I thought I was done.
Yeah.
I didn't think I had this in me still.
Right.
But, so, I mean, obviously, Tiger's rejuvenated. He's proved that he can win another major.
Right.
It'll be interesting to see how well he plays in the next couple.
Yeah.
But, I mean, clearly he's got it in him. So it's really going to be exciting with all these young guys coming up too. Like,
yeah, to have at least somebody to look up to like that. And I think for like people in sports that like have bad stuff happen to them, like I know there's a lot of guys like in the NFL, NBA, MLB, like all that stuff. Like there is a chance to come back and to do great things in the sports. So I think we got a little bit of time off. Let's talk about the MLB a little bit. Yeah, it's beginning of the season. A lot of ups and downs. It's a weird.
It's an interesting beginning to the season, I think.
Yeah, because teams that were like dead last in the MLB are
really hot right now.
And then like the World Series champions not doing so well right now.
Not doing too hot right now. Their star pitcher 0 for 4 in starts, but I mean you've got Seattle started like 13 and like 1 or something.
Right.
Tampa Bay is like 5.5 games ahead of the Yankees right now.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there are teams that are right now that are, I mean, definitely looking good. And then you've got.
I think there's more. To me, there's more teams that were so good last year that aren't performing right now. You have the Cubs, mostly in the NL, which is strange.
It's a lot of NL teams.
You got the Cubs, you got the Dodgers. Teams that really was consistent from last year to this year is the Brewers.
Right. I mean, Christian Yelich has picked up right where he left off, homering in almost
last 6 games. Against the Cardinals. It was against the Cardinals, the last 6 games or something. He's homering.
Picking up right where he left off.
Yeah.
Of his MVP season last year. So.
Yeah, I will say I do want to talk about one team. I do want to talk about the Nationals a little bit.
Yeah.
Just with everything that's going on with them and losing Bryce Harper, I don't really think it's affected them as much. I think it's their bullpen that's really killing them as it did last year.
Yeah. I agree with that. It's going to be interesting. I mean, season is so young. There's so much more baseball to be played. Like I said,
the real part of the season after the All-Star break.
After the All-Star break, and hopefully the Yankees have like 10 guys on the IL right now. Most of those guys should be back June, July. But it's definitely, I think the entire season is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a fun one to watch.
Definitely. Well, I think that's going to be it
for tonight.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Amanda and Justin.
Next up, we've got Justin staying in the booth and Brandon joining him for a segment on the NFL.
They're going to talk about the most recent signings and what the draft could hold. Ooh, drama.
What's up, guys?
Hello, Bridgewater. Once again, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Justin.
And we're back, as always, talking about the NFL. And as always, we have a lot to talk about and not enough time to do it. So
yeah, I think mainly what we're going to talk about is the schedule, because it just released.
It released
about an hour
and 20 minutes ago.
An hour and 20 minutes ago. So I think we're just going to go through each week, pick out our favorite games, and just talk about it a little bit.
Well, first off, we got to talk about a little bit about the Russell Wilson deal real quick.
Oh, we do have to talk about that deal.
Talk about that.
Well, we can talk about 2 deals. We'll talk about that and DeMarcus Lawrence, his big deal. So let's talk about Russell Wilson's deal
biggest
first.
Contract in NFL history.
Worth it. I think it's worth it, to be completely honest. I think he's the leader of that team. He talked about how he wanted to stay in Seattle again. Like, I'm not a huge guy on, like, giving somebody a bunch of money because you don't know, especially $60 million guaranteed. You don't know if Russell Wilson's going to get hurt. But the way he's been playing, I mean, he hasn't gotten an MVP or any awards or anything, but he's been really leading this team the last couple of years.
I definitely think Russell Wilson is the quarterback for that team, and I definitely think that they should have did whatever they had to do to keep him on that team because he is the framework for that team. However, I don't think any player in the NFL is worth that much money. As I know when Atlanta signed Matt Ryan, he has the 3rd highest contract in NFL history, as do pretty much 5 other active quarterbacks. It's just there's a trend lately where if you have a quarterback and you like him, throw every dollar you have at them. And I don't think that's a good trend going on in the NFL right now.
No, I don't think so either because, I mean, I don't want to say, like, have a quarterback for 5 years, get rid of him, get a new one. I'm not saying that, but I'm also saying don't throw all, I mean, like you were saying, don't throw all your money at one guy because, yes, it is the centerpiece of your team, but there's so much else that goes into a winning season for a team. And I mean, quarterback is a big part, but it's not the biggest part.
Right, so do you want to talk a little bit about the franchise tag on DeMarcus Lawrence?
Yeah, let's talk about it. I think it was good for the Cowboys because they got their defensive. I think they did what they should have done with DeMarcus Ware a couple years, like 5 or 6 years ago.
They learned their mistake.
Yeah, so I don't think this was not. Again, it's the same thing. Shouldn't have given him that much money, but like again, I think it was a good move by them.
I think he's one of the best players on a pretty good defense already, and I think Dallas did what they needed to do. So kudos to them. So going on, the NFL schedule just came out, so we have a lot to talk about that. So I think you always have to start where the season starts, and that is the season opener, September 5th, Thursday night, Packers at Chicago.
And that's going to be the 199th time in NFL history that they've met. So that's why they're doing this game. And I think it could be an interesting game to start the season because it's going to say either one or two things. One, it's going to say, okay, the Bears started where they left off. Their defense is amazing. Or it's going to say, wow, the Packers are a good team. It's going to be one of those two.
I think it's going to really do the divide. I think the Bears are up there for one of the teams that has more to prove than anyone.
Yeah.
Are they for real? I think they're for real. I think the Packers are on a steep decline, kind of like the Steelers a little bit.
Yeah.
The Packers still have holes that they need to fill, especially at the receiver position, aside from Devontae Adams, of course, who is a stud. But I think that this game is definitely on Chicago. I do like this game as an opener because this is one of the greatest rivalries in the NFL.
Oh, heck yeah.
But still. And then that Sunday night game, the first Sunday night game of the year, is the classic matchup. You hear a sigh of the you-know-what already. Steelers at New England.
Come on. I really want to say Pittsburgh's going to win, and I am going to say Pittsburgh's going to win this game. But again, we still have the draft. We still have many things. Players could get hurt. Like, the entire season, could be on the line in the next, couple of months because a lot can go on. But that's going to be a really good matchup.
All right, so moving on to week 2, I think that the game of the week for sure is Saints at Rams. I think that's a pretty good matchup. That is probably one of the most anticipated games of the season, I think.
Yeah, because of
the
what
controversy
happened.
Surrounding the NFC Championship.
And now they changed the rule and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Come to expect at least one time that they're going to use the rule in the game.
I can't believe that wasn't the Sunday night game. I can't believe that's not prime time.
Right? I mean, Eagles-Falcons could be a good game.
I mean, as a Falcons fan, but still, I think that the Saints and Rams is one of the most anticipated games of the year, and I think the NFL kind of choked not making that prime time.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on to week 3. Hold on, sorry. Computer is slow. All right, so we have pretty good games coming up. Again, the primetime game, the Rams and Browns. A lot of teams that have a lot to prove. That's a pretty good game.
I really like the Saints-Seahawks game, though, because it's in Seattle, and again, I think this is one of the things for the Saints where, they have a couple games back-to-back where it's going to be testing for them, especially after coming off a good season, so I think they've got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder because they should have at least been in the Super Bowl, but I think that's going to be a good game for them.
I think one of two things are going to happen to the Saints team. Either they're going to get off to a hot 5-0 start or a hot 1-4 start. I think that the Saints could surprise a lot of people with maybe getting that early season slump. But again, they have a pretty hard schedule at the first part of the year.
Right.
I think the other good game that week is, of course, I'm a Falcons fan, so I'm always biased, but the Falcons and Colts, two defenses have a lot to prove going into this year for two different reasons.
Yeah, definitely. I can see that. I also like the Ravens matchup against the Chiefs. I think that's going to be two teams that lost their defense pretty much.
Pretty much, yes. It's going to be a very high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Except the factor is your quarterback, and Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
Patty Mahomes is Patty Mahomes, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So the Saints have another big game this week. A lot of Saints talk right now. They have the primetime game this week. The Cowboys are going to New Orleans.
And the last time this happened, I believe it was in Dallas. But, Dallas upset them. So it could be a game where I think the Saints are going to want to win that game. But also Dallas, we talked about DeMarcus Lawrence. And then a couple of the additions they've made on offense. I think they could make this a game. Another game I want to see, the Monday night game, I think the Steelers-Bengals, that's going to be a totally different game now that Vontaze Burfict is not there. And it's going to be, especially with also the Steelers losing some pieces, it's going to be a totally different game that we're used to as NFL fans.
Yeah, there aren't too many games in there. There's a lot of divisional matchups, but it's usually top contenders versus bottom contenders. So I think aside from those games, I think that'll be a pretty easy one. Monday, the Thursday night game is an interesting one in week 4. We got Rams at Seattle.
That's always a good game.
That is always a good game.
No matter how good or bad each team is, it seems like that is one of the best games of the week. And then we have another rivalry. Baltimore-Pittsburgh, I think that's always a good one, too. Being biased, I think that's one of the biggest rivalries in the NFL.
However, that's not the story of this week. Week 5 story is Colts at Kansas City is the primetime game that week.
Yeah.
That is a good game. I think that those two teams, again, I keep talking with a lot to prove, but they do have a lot to prove. I think they're two of the best teams in the league. And also,
the Monday night game, Browns and 49ers, two building teams that could make the playoffs this year. That could be a big game for both of them.
I think Garoppolo, I keep talking about a lot to prove, but,
yeah,
I keep saying that, but, man, he does. He's injured last year after a lot of hype. So week 6 coming up.
Look, I know we're talking about the Saints a lot, but Saints-Jaguars. Jaguars might be a playoff team this year, and that's
in Jacksonville, too.
And that's going to be a test for Nick Foles. But then the primetime game, Steelers-Chargers, after what happened last year with all of those penalties at the end of the game, some of them shouldn't have been called, but I'm biased because I'm a Steelers fan, but I think that's going to be one of the better games of the week. I
still think I got to go with the Chargers on that one, though, for sure.
Okay.
So, couple more interesting games. This is a primetime game on week 7 is the Eagles at Dallas. It's always a good matchup. Rams at Falcons is a good one. That's usually a pretty fun game to watch. Was last year and even the year before that. Not a whole lot more going on that week if I'm looking at this correctly. The Monday night game is Patriots at the Jets. Who cares? Moving on to week 8.
The Jets could surprise.
All right, so Redskins at Vikings.
Come on.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins playing
Kirk
his
Cousins'
former
his
team
own
for the
team.
first time.
And the Redskins don't have a quarterback as of right now. So
As of right now, no.
see how that goes.
That 4:25 game, Patriots-Browns, could be an interesting game this season.
Bill
That could be an
Belichick.
upset.
Bill
An
Belichick
upset.
against his former team.
Yeah, technically.
And then the primetime game of the week is it's a classic, Packers and Chiefs.
Yeah.
A lot of big fan bases there.
Yeah,
Gonna
definitely.
Be tuning into that game. Moving on to week 9, Thursday night game, 49ers and Cardinals. Who really cares? But then we have the Sunday night game. We got the Patriots visiting Baltimore.
That'll be a good game. I think, well, depending. I just want to see the first couple of weeks how well this Ravens defense is going to be doing.
All right, so we're running out of time, as always. So we're just going to skip ahead a little bit. We're going to skip from 9 to 15, go over the last 3 weeks of the season, because that's where the playoff crunch is. So at this point, we got to think about who's a playoff team, who's a contender at this point. And I think right here, right off the bat, I see Rams at Dallas. I think that those teams right there are going to be playing for something come December.
Yeah, and also Colts Saints.
Colts Saints Monday
That
night
Monday
game.
night
That's ooh, I like that one.
Yeah, that's
that one's a good
that
one.
could be Super Bowl, possibly? Question mark?
I mean, could be. Could be. Moving on to week 16, things are really coming down to crunch time, and right off the bat, the primetime game Chiefs at Bears.
That's going to be...
That is a hype game. I'm hyped for that one.
Yeah, because the Bears' offense is a little bit suspect, and then you have a suspect Chiefs defense with a really good Chiefs offense.
And then Dallas is going to Philly that week, too. It's going to be a good game as well.
Oh, my gosh. They
here
have Pittsburgh
comes
and Baltimore.
Week 17.
Jeez.
Pittsburgh goes to Baltimore.
I could
You have
definitely
all the
see that being,
rivalries.
like, prime time. Like that. Switch it to prime time, because they always do that every year.
And then 49ers at Seahawks. That'll probably be an interesting game.
Yeah, but there's not really, like... Okay, Chiefs-Chargers. That could
Chiefs
be...
Chargers.
Jacksonville
that could be
Colts.
very well decided.
Jacksonville,
Both of those
Indianapolis?
games could possibly decide the division, honestly.
Yeah. I could see that. I could definitely see
All right,
that.
so we always have to end the podcast. Super Bowl, go.
Super Bowl already? Gosh, you put me in the spot. So I'm going to put the Chargers. I'm going to put them in the Super Bowl. Obviously, I'm going to put them against... I want to LA. I'm going to put the Rams in there, and I think the Chargers are... Phil Rivers is going to finally get one. He's going to retire with a Super Bowl.
I want to say the Chargers. I liked the Chargers last year, but I just don't think that they will. I think it'll either be the Colts or New England, and then I think it'll be against Atlanta. My boys got to go for them.
Okay. Well, that's
All
it
right,
for us.
Thank you. If we talked a lot more on our podcast, if you want to tune into that when it's posted,
Yep.
hear
Be
us
on the
more.
blitz.
Always, as always, and we'll see you more next year, Bridgewater.
Yep, see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Justin and Brandon. That was a very insightful view into the NFL.
All right, up next we have another farewell interview. This time with our I keep bringing Stylish like your time. Our executive director of BC Voice, Raymond Alexander. He will be interviewed by Holden.
Holden and Raymond will be talking all things Raymond, from his hopes and his dreams all the way down to his colorful socks.
Good evening, Bridgewater. My name is Holden Andrews. I'm here with Raymond Alexander. We're going to do a little senior exit interview. So Raymond, tell me a little bit about yourself, your major, where you're from.
So my major is comm, tech, and culture, and I'm from Brunswick, Maryland. I got an English minor too as well.
So tell me about your time here at Bridgewater. What are some of your favorite memories?
Some of my favorite memories, I guess working on the paper is one of them, as well as honestly being a sore mentor, or like OL pretty much. Although I do like to complain about it, I do find that very enjoyable after the time, and the people I meet there, I like helping out with the theater too. That's a very enjoyable experience. You get to mess around with a bunch of people, and I love that. What else? I don't know, just doing Squawk Talk too. Podcast and radio program, which comes on later.
You mentioned working for the paper. What did you do for Veritas?
I was the executive director of BC Voice, so I oversaw the paper Veritas as well as Spark Radio, as well as the online paper. I was a staff writer though in my first year, and then I was asked to be executive director by a past one, which is pretty cool. Yeah, so I don't know. I guess just helping with it and like planning it out and seeing how everything comes together, and being like in a leadership position. I like that. Like, I don't know, it just seems cool.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you plan to do after graduation?
I'm probably gonna work for like a year or so and then go to grad school hopefully.
Where do you see yourself working, like as or for?
I'm gonna try to work maybe as well. So far on the job on the side, I do like wedding photography, and I'll probably be doing that because it's wedding season right about now. And I will also be probably working either like with theater or something like that, or helping my dad work, which he can get me a job down at his place of work, which is, I forget where it is exactly, but it's like one of those government contractor jobs.
Okay.
So.
How did you get into wedding photography?
My sister. She like technically is the owner of the business, and I'm like her helper. So I also take photos. It's better to have two cameras, or more than one, I should say. So, I take the photos, do some editing of them, but that's mainly it.
Okay, where do you... Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say, but I don't really have to talk to the clients. I kind of just go there.
Yeah, you're a fly on the wall, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully out of grad school, doing something related to film. I guess, hopefully, probably paying off debt. To be honest with you.
Yeah, so I've known you, I guess, for 2 years now. I know you're really into films. If you could make a film about anything, what kind of film would it be, and who would you want to act in it?
What kind of film? I don't know, like, maybe, like, there's, like, I've always wanted to make, like, a film about, like, I know, like, there's, like, these crime, like, thrillers, like, you know, like Silence of the Lambs, where you got, like, imagine that, like, as, like, a person on the run, but, like, it would be two movies. It would be one from, like, the person on the run's perspective, and then the other one would be from the cops'
Okay, so I'm
perspective.
getting, The Running Man by Stephen King vibes here.
Kind of, yeah.
The book, not the film. The film is atrocious.
Yeah. So, yeah, and, like, the films are obviously interconnected.
Yeah.
They connect at some points, or, like, you get the same scene in both films, but at other points, obviously, they're further apart, I think. So, I think that would be a cool concept. I don't really know who would act in it, though.
Okay. Who's your favorite director? Who's a director you look up to as well?
Oh, that's a...
Very long list, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. Well, I like Hitchcock. I like his style. That he stuck to it in an era that had studio systems, and he pretty much forced the studio to put out his vision, even if it didn't work. Like, I like that he takes risks, because I think it gets stale, like, if you don't take risk. Like, sure, like you got, like, Scorsese and Spielberg, they have, like, really good films, but then they also have really crappy films. And I think that's part of taking risk. Like, you gotta be willing to fail hard, like Spielberg did with, like, Always, or, like, 1941, or some of his other really not talked about films. But then, I like, I look up more to, like, foreign film directors a lot more.
Why is that?
Because I think foreign language films, or, like, pretty much films that aren't made in the U.S. are, like, light years ahead of Hollywood and everything right now, and what they can show. Because we just have, like, some taboos over just really dumb stuff, and...
Like what?
Or, like, you know, like, you can put violence in, like, a PG-13 movie, but, you know, the rating system's so screwed up here that, like, anything that, like, implies, like, any other kind of, like, activity could, like, easily get you an R-rated film, and then that loses money, so then you can't really, like, make films again. Whereas, like, foreign films, they don't have that. They kind of just do what they want and talk more about actual topics than just, like, entertainment films. But I do think the first rule of, like, filmmaking is, like, entertain, and if you don't do that, then you failed. Because, like, Ingmar Bergman, a Swedish director I look up to as well, because he put in, like, 3 commandments for filmmaking, and the first one's to entertain, and he says if you don't do that, then you've failed already. And especially since he's, I don't know, I like him. He takes risk as well. He has 3 different periods of his career, so.
Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, you just mentioned a ton of films. All right, I'm not gonna ask what your favorite is, but I am going to ask if you only could watch one movie or film for the rest of your life, what would it be?
I don't know, maybe The Graduate.
Graduate. Okay.
That's a film I watch every year, at least once.
Tell me about it.
I do a lot. It's about this guy who graduates college, and he kind of doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. He's kind of like just aimlessly wandering, and then he kind of wanders into an affair with an older woman who is the wife of the business partner of his father. Wow. And then eventually he somehow starts to fall in love with their daughter. Mm-hmm. And obviously that complicates everything.
Interesting, yeah.
And I just think like it's close to a perfect film, I think. The just everything, like it just seems like it's well made,
mm-hmm.
you know?
Alright, I think I've got time for one more question.
Yeah, sure.
Alright. What's something you want people at Bridgewater to remember you for?
I don't really know, like, I guess just my contributions to different organizations and different aspects of campus, because I tried to, as like I said earlier, I'm kind of like involved in a lot of things, so, like, hopefully I've made my mark on at least one of those, so people could remember a little bit. Because they're not going to remember you all the time.
Well, all of us here at BC Voice are definitely going to remember you, Raymond.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, Bridgewater.
Thank you.
Alright, thank you, Raymond, and thank you, Holden. Sorry I cut you off there for a second.
Next up, we have Justin, Ayinde, and Brandon, as you can probably hear giggling in the background, and they're going to be discussing Avengers Endgame.
They're going to discuss the upcoming movie, its early performance, and what we can expect. I hope they have a clue, because I sure don't. Take it away.
Good evening, Bridgewater. I know you're probably getting tired of hearing my voice, but this is Ayinde once again, and I'm joined with my buddies Justin and Brandon. How y'all doing, man?
Good. It's to be on the Blitz crew.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like people are getting tired of hearing my voice too.
Yeah.
This is my fifth segment. Yeah,
it's my third or fourth.
But guys, as much as you know, there's a lot of stuff to talk about. And honestly, there's only one thing that really matters. Guys, we're in the Endgame now. Of course.
we're in the Endgame.
And when we talk about Endgame, of course we're talking about Avengers Endgame. Comes out next Friday. There's so much to talk about. Guys, let's get into it.
Don't spoil Endgame.
Yeah,
that's
from the Russo brothers.
Yeah, they just for those unaware, like Russo brothers just released a little letter. They're saying, just don't spoil the movie. There is like 4 minutes of footage that was leaked about a day or so ago, and it just started spreading like wildfire. So it's just like, if you guys come across the footage, first of all, don't watch it. But if you just hope, if curiosity hits you, don't spread it around. Don't tell anybody what you saw, because what's so great about like Marvel movies is like there's not, especially this one and Infinity War. I feel like they both had like this. There's so much secrecy with this film. You don't know. None of us know what's gonna happen in this movie.
So first off, just to clarify for anyone who might be living under a rock, this will be the biggest scale movie ever made.
Oh yeah, no, trust me.
Superhero movie by Marvel it's what, 23 movies, 24 movies at this point?
This will be 20. Yeah, this will be
23.
Yeah, 22 or 23.
Like pretty much since Iron Man came out, like it's pretty much one big story.
No movie has ever had more to prove than this movie, and that's including Force Awakens.
Yeah. Honestly, like I know I've had a lot of conversations about telling people like why I love like the MCU. The MCU is like my favorite movie franchise, because it's this franchise that should never have worked, but it did.
Right, and it's like connected, but not in a way that you can see the connections right away.
We have like 19 different directors in this franchise, and it's still working. It has arguably the largest cinematic fan base in history. In this movie coming out, there's so much speculation going on. What's going to happen?
You know what's bad when people are more excited for this than Star Wars. Star Wars has been around since '77.
I'm snoozing on Star Wars. Whatever.
Well, we're not talking about.
Give me my Game of Thrones. Give me my Endgame.
We're not talking about.
I'm excited for episode 9.
We're not talking about Game of Thrones. We're here to talk about the end of the like.
We're here to talk about the Endgame, guys.
But yeah, there's so much to talk about, guys. Like, where do I even start with like? I know one of the big things is like how are they going to handle Captain Marvel? Because there's been a lot of talks about, people are very split on the movie Captain Marvel, and they were very split on the character. I know you don't like it.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was
a good
okay.
movie. I thought it was a good movie. You're in
We
the
have
middle.
The
We got the three spectrums right here.
Don't like, and eh.
And so what's interesting is that how are they going to handle a character that a lot of people are very split upon? I feel like with what they've been doing, what they've been showing lately, it feels like they're addressing issues that we have with her, while also like not taking away anything that made people like her in the first place. Like they officially released the clip, so it's not technically, it's not leaked, it's official. Where they're talking about, where she's like, let's go find Thanos. They just found out he used the stones again. We don't know what he used it for. Right. But they're saying, let's just go get him. She was like, let's just go get him. And like while we have the chance, and then War Machine's like, listen, we've been in this superhero business, longer than you have, and then where have you been? Like,
the other thing I feel like no one's talking about, at the end of Infinity War, the Infinity Gauntlet shattered. It's broken.
Yeah.
It's unusable. So Thanos will not be able to use, or at least I speculate, he won't be able to use all 6 Infinity Stones.
No, I think he'll still be able to use it.
He'll be able to use a couple.
But he won't be able to use all 6 at once, because he needs the gauntlet for it. So he might be able to pull a Doctor Strange and find some way to use one of them in a way. He might fluctuate between all 6, but he will not be able to use all 6 at once.
Yeah.
He can only, I think he'll have to pick and choose which stones he'll have to use for what situations.
Yeah, and I think as far as Captain Marvel, I don't think the one thing they can't do is have her defeat Thanos. Like that would be awful.
No,
that would be awful. She needs to be she has to be a support character.
She has to. A lot of people will argue that with us, like, oh no, she's supposed to be the leader of the MCU. After
okay.
No, at the end, because at the end of the day, Endgame is about Tony Stark, Steve Rogers, Thor, Bruce Banner.
It's the original. But also the thing is, she's one Infinity Stone. One Infinity Stone cannot.
She doesn't even have one. She just got her power from one.
Right, but basically that like her power is pretty much the
Captain Marvel
one Infinity Stone. But one cannot beat a couple, as you guys are saying, like that Thanos had. But I also think one thing that they're gonna do, like one theory that I've heard, is they're gonna take it to the quantum realm, guys. I think that's their final battle. Yeah, that final battle with Thanos, because there only can be a couple, if not that many Infinity Stones that he can use in the quantum realm. I think that's definitely gonna happen.
From my understanding, I don't think any realms, I think any realms besides like our current realm, the Infinity, like
it doesn't work.
I think like only maybe I think the Power Stone and I think the Soul Stone are the only ones that actually.
Because I know the Time Stone, because time's irrelevant.
Right.
And that
space, I don't think.
Yeah,
work.
No.
I feel like that's probably going to be the one that's going to be used the most, because that's how he's probably going to get from place to place. But also, like, we see that he has the Dark Aster, or his ship.
So I think where he showed up at that one place where he was talking about like Tony and how they were coming after him and everything, I think that's where the final battle is going to take place. I think that it's on Sakaar. That's what I've heard, and that's what I think might take place. You know how awesome?
I don't think it's going to be on Sakaar. I feel like
Sakaar could be the quantum realm, guys. Just saying.
I think where that's going to be. I feel like it's going to be this might be maybe wish fulfillment, but I feel like it might be taking place in the aftermath of the Battle of New York. Because it seems like they're going back to that battle.
Back in time to that battle? Oh my gosh, that would be so cool. That'd be good.
Because, it's just something that I thought about. It's like, I know because I saw some set photos early on before the movie was coming out, where Cap was in his old, of 2012 Avengers Captain America's outfit. Yeah.
That would be...
The bright blue.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, what... Are they going to go back to that battle?
What a great way to end it. Like, with what really started all of this, with all, like, the Infinity Gauntlet and the Infinity Stones and everything. What a great way to end it, I think.
It'd be poetic.
If that's what happened, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of ending, and people are... I don't think I think we all are agreeing that there's not a lot of the Avengers are going to survive this.
As long as Ant-Man theory comes true.
No.
Oh my gosh.
But no, Brandon, I'm gonna start with you. What I know it's gonna be. Which death are you not looking forward to? Because I know I don't think there's any ones that we're actually looking forward to. So what's the one that you're not looking forward to the most?
Steve Rogers.
Oh, wow, that's a first. I heard a lot of people. I heard a lot of people are waiting for that one.
Are waiting for that one?
Really?
Oh, you mean like
they're waiting for Steve to go?
Why?
I don't know. I mean, for me,
why would you want Steve Rogers to go?
Yeah, he's the glue that keeps
because he's
the Avengers together.
Boy Scout.
I know when we watched Captain Marvel, we saw Captain Marvel, the El Capitan, in the fan premiere, and Steve Rogers, when he showed up on the story credits, was the audience got the entire movie. So fans like Steve Rogers, fans like Captain America, and killing him, they know fans will react to it.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be Tony. Tony's gonna be the one that hurts the most.
I think
because he's the one, because he is the one that started it.
Yeah. I think since Tony's death was in Infinity
It's
War, he
inevitable.
almost died in Infinity War, but they spared him. I think that they're not going to do the same in Endgame. Since they almost killed him, kind of already did that trope in Infinity War, I don't think they're going to kill him in Endgame.
Yeah.
That's why I think it'll be Captain America instead. I think it's one, not both.
So here's what I think. I think I'm gonna kind of merge your guys' together. I don't think they're both gonna die, but I think that Steve's gonna die, but it's gonna be in Tony's arms. It's gonna be in Tony. It's gonna be saving Tony. Yeah, and I think that's what's gonna. It's gonna hurt even more because
Tony's gonna have a happy ending.
Right, and it's because of the beef that they've had between each other. It's gonna make it that much more emotional.
Tony's gonna retire as Iron Man, marry Pepper Potts, and that's it. I think he'll have a happy ending. Steve Rogers will die protecting Iron Man.
Yeah, and I think it's. I think so.
I can even.
You read this if you haven't heard that.
I can't. I haven't actually. That's the first time I've heard that. And
wow.
Oh, I can see it, and it's. Oh wow.
He's having some tears, guys.
Yeah, because that's crazy. Again, that's another great way to bookend, such a tale of two characters, two completely polar opposite characters.
Mm-hmm.
Tony was sort of like the brash character. Steve was sort of the stand up one, and it's a great tale to see, and we will get to see how that ends. And how the rest of this phase of the universe ends with Avengers Endgame, guys. Get your tickets now because these are going fast.
Also, can I just say I'm hyped that this is a 3-hour movie.
Oh my
3 hours and 2
minutes.
3 hours 2 minutes.
Sitting for that whole 3 hours.
By the way, I think Thor kills Thanos.
No, he should.
Yeah.
Go for the head this time, Thanos.
Yeah.
Thor. But yes, Avengers Endgame in theaters on next Friday.
Yep.
Get your tickets again because they're
going fast,
really quickly.
But
as this is the last segment that we're on, guys, it's been a pleasure.
Yep.
Talking with you guys a lot about
Avengers
nerd
Endgame
stuff. But I guess this is time for us to go.
Yep.
We'll see you guys next year.
Next segment.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Justin, Brandon, and Ayinde. My excitement for Endgame is mounting.
Up next, we have Coffee House Conversations with Lexi and Holden.
Lexi and Holden will be discussing the best places to get coffee, and knowing these two, there will be a wholesome debate. Joining them is also Emilee.
Oh, we'll see if we can hear her.
Hello, Bridgewater. You're here with, what is it called? Coffee House Conversations. My name's Holden, and in here with me is...
Lexi. Hello, everyone. How you doing out there?
Lexi, how are you tonight?
You know what? Peachy keen. Can't complain, man. Can't complain.
I tell you, have you had any good coffee today?
Let me tell you. I had... Listen to this. Listen to this.
I'm listening.
All right, you listening?
My ears are open wide.
All right. I had a large caramel iced coffee from, drumroll please, McDonald's! And I gotta say, it was mediocre, and I loved it.
Mediocre coffee. That's what'll get you. All right. So we're gonna talk about some of the better places to get coffee in the Bridgewater, Harrisonburg area. What's your go-to?
My go-to, I'd have to say, is Dunkin' Donuts. The big double D, my friends.
Yes. I gotta say that's my go-to as well. If I'm feeling something, if I'm not feeling that coffee house vibe, I'm going to Dunkin'.
We're going to Dunkin', bro.
Are. You want to get Dunkin' after this?
Please?
All right, you gotta tell me your order, though.
All right, listen to this. It's a hot coffee.
Okay.
Large.
I like where this is going.
Large, as always. And, I like to mix it up a little bit, but lately, these days, I've been going with the Samoa cookie.
Ooh.
Girl Scout Samoa cookie flavor shot, baby, with a little bit of cream. And that is muy bien, I gotta tell you. It's my go-to. If you're a big fan of Girl Scouts, I suggest the Samoa. But if you don't like coconut, then, well...
Don't they have a Thin Mint drink as well?
They do.
They do.
I have not tried that one. Because that Samoa one is just too zesty for me. What's your go-to, Holden? What's your go-to?
If I'm going to Dunkin', I'm either getting two things. I'm getting just a hot black coffee, a little bit of sugar.
Wow.
Or if I'm feeling, I'm feeling a little saucy, we're going with a cold brew.
Oh.
Mocha shot of flavor, no sugar.
God, a man of very simple tastes.
Very simple, so simple.
You know what my grandfather used to say, right?
What did your grandfather tell you?
He said, I like my coffee like I like my women. All different kinds of flavors. All different kinds of flavors.
That's some good advice right there. All right, moving on from Dunkin'. That was a great segue.
yeah. You like where I led into that one, huh?
I do. You go to Starbucks a lot? You
I
got the one on campus in the link?
You know what? I would, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't accept gift cards, so like I'm just not.
That is so true.
But
so true.
Let's go into like the real question here. All right, let's talk about this.
Let's talk about it.
What's better? All right, I guess I wouldn't compare Starbucks, because I feel like Starbucks, when you think of coffee in like a very higher level, you think of Starbucks. I feel like that's just the popular high one almost. I don't know, but let's compare. What coffee's better, Dunkin' Donuts or Krispy Kreme?
Ooh, I gotta go with Dunkin' Donuts.
See, I gotta go with Dunkin' Donuts too.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, when I want donuts, Krispy Kreme is better.
Krispy Kreme all the way.
Krispy Kreme all the way.
Beat their hot donuts.
You cannot.
There is nothing better than a hot glazed donut.
Have you
and
ever?
A cup of coffee?
Have you ever had the cake batter donut?
I haven't. Tell me all about it, please.
Okay. Have you ever had a cake batter?
I have.
Have you ever had a donut?
I have.
Have you ever, seen a glimpse of heaven in your dreams?
Maybe once. This one dream I had. I think I did.
Take the best thing you've ever tasted.
Okay.
And just ball it up into one. Really snowball it in there.
Yes.
And times that by, I want to say, what's the number I'm looking for here? 4 quadrillion, 800 billion zillion to the 8th power.
Okay.
And you might get half of how good it is.
Let me get my calculator out real quick.
Yeah, can you do the math on that one,
Yeah,
please?
I can.
And what's the number? Like infinity?
Infinity and 1, actually.
Infinity. You got me there, dude. All right, now, but tell me, all right, let's compare Bridgewater Coffee House place to, what's it called? Greenberry.
Greenberry's Coffee in Harrisonburg. Is that the one you're referring to?
That's the one I'm referring to, that one.
All right. If we're going off of their cold brews, I gotta give the edge to Greenberry's, but they're just normal hot coffee or like, some of their other hot drinks. I gotta go Bridgewater Coffee. And let me tell you, 10 drinks, you have them punch that card, 10 drinks at Bridgewater Coffee, they'll give you a free one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's a steal.
That is a
For
steal.
the amount of coffee I drink, I could get that in a week.
God.
Yeah.
All right, well, what's the price comparison looking like? How are we looking?
The price comparison, if we're not taking in the drive, I'd say Bridgewater Coffee's a little bit cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
But the drive to Greenberry is totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
Yes, totally worth it.
All right, let's go with the ambience. You know what I'm saying? What's the inside like of these places? What's better?
I gotta say, Greenberry's it's smaller. There's never a seat open.
Really?
And Bridgewater Coffee House they've got these nice couches. They've got a great window with a little bar. And there's spaces to do homework. Bridgewater Coffee House all the way.
So we're like lounging around.
We are. It's a true coffee house vibe. They were playing Hosier one time.
Oh.
Nothing better.
Okay, so we got the music vibes, the coffee vibes, and the lounging vibes.
Yes.
God, good stuff. Let me tell you. What other coffee places are there around?
Let's see. There's Valley Pike.
Oh. Okay.
That's technically what's it called? Rumor Mill Coffee Shop. Yeah. It's connected to the Valley Pike Farmers Market, and there's a little upstairs loft you can go to and do homework and hang out and just drink some really good coffee. The service there, impeccable.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, so with what you've taught me here today, Holden, I appreciate all this insight you give me with coffee, because big coffee girl right here. Gotta tell you,
ginormous.
I don't think I go a day without a cup. A good cup of Joe, without a cup of Joe is a no. But let me ask you something. So if we were to take all these beautiful places that are around here, and just jumble it up. What is the number one place to go to? You gotta choose.
Number one place to go. Can you give me a countdown?
Countdown? Yeah. Would you like it from 5, 10? What are we thinking?
From
5? All right, here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Wait, are we stopping on 1, or when are we saying it?
Say 1, then I'll say.
Okay, all right.
What I'm gonna say.
Sorry, folks. Starting over. In 5, 4, 3, 2. 1.
Based solely on their coffee, greenberries.
Greenberries, wow. And there you have it, folks. Greenberry it is. And I gotta say, I think you've persuaded me to go try it now.
Have I? You want to go?
Are you guys on a date?
Of course.
Is this illegal? Can we do this? Can we...
Is this allowed?
Flirting with me on on live cast? Wow. But yeah, I'd love to.
It. Oh my god.
I'd love to.
Awesome. What are you gonna get?
Are you gonna pay? Well then, I think I'll just get. Yeah, I'll let you choose.
Okay.
I'll let you wink,
I
wink.
can do that. I think we can do that.
But whatever you choose for me,
Mm-hmm.
make it a large.
Make it a large.
I gotta say,
that.
folks,
I can do that.
size matters. a large coffee. That if I don't want anything smaller than a large. So if you mess that up, well then I'm calling someone else to pick me up and take me to the Valley Pike because can't.
I think that's well deserved.
That is well deserved.
You gotta have a good coffee order, and you gotta have one on standby too.
You know, why don't and then after? How about after?
After.
Take me after we go to Greenberry. Take me to all the coffee places after, so I can really see.
We'll go on a tour of all the coffee places in the valley.
And I'll be the judge of if Greenberry, solely based on their coffee, is the best. I will X out any other factors. So like the lounging, the ambience, the lights, the chairs, all that gone. Just
all of it.
Just the coffee, because that's what we're here, folks. At the end of the day, it's coffee. So. There you have it, folks. You have been here with
Coffee House Conversations.
Yeah, and me and Holden, we're gonna go test out these places.
Yes, we are. We'll get back to you.
All right. Stay sweet, stay beautiful, and drink a cup of coffee.
Okay. Thank you, Lexi, Holden, and Emilee. I don't know if she actually talked.
Yeah, hopefully you're feeling better and get some coffee. It might make your throat feel better.
Absolutely.
Next up, we have Lexi staying in the booth, and she will be interviewing Sheyenne.
Sheyenne is another one of our seniors who will be leaving us, so whenever you're ready, ladies, take it away.
Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't go anywhere, so you're welcome. I know you're happy about that. But a real treat for you today. I'm here with guest speaker. Introduce yourself to the folks, please.
Hi, my name's Sheyenne Hoffman, and I am a senior here at Bridgewater College.
And there you have it, senior. So I'm gonna interview Sheyenne here about her experience here or some random stuff, really. And just for the record, these questions were not made up by me. They were made up by the original interviewer, Emilee, who sadly cannot be here today because of, I don't want to put her information out there, but due to sickness reasons, laryngitis. Anyways, so Sheyenne, first question, let's start off simple. What is your major?
I am a communication, technology, and culture major.
Oh, okay, all right. And did you know that's what you wanted to do coming into this, or did it change?
It actually changed. I started out as a math major, and then I changed it when I got to Calculus 2 and realized that I just really did not like math anymore.
Wow, I understand. Math is a no-go. Now, did someone influence you to change it to, like, the whole communications thing, or was this just, did you take a class? What influenced it from math to where we are now?
Actually, I took a public speaking class in high school, and I really liked that. And then I really liked oral comm that I took with Professor Dewey. And so it was a second choice of mine, so I knew that if math didn't work out, that was exactly where I was going to go.
Okay, so no regrets at all with the decision
regrets.
we've made.
Nope.
And I gotta say, I love Professor Dewey. She was actually my intro to public speaking professor. What a blessing. So what's the plans after graduation? Do we have it figured out? We still rolling with the punches?
So after graduation, the first thing that's on my list is I'm getting married in June.
Oh.
Then I am moving to Blacksburg.
Okay.
My fiance actually will have one more year at Tech. And I've already put in a couple applications for a PR specialist, public relations specialist. So
okay.
I'm hoping to hear back from somebody. So I'm hoping to get a job pretty much right out of college.
Yeah, that's probably the big moves. I hope so. Well, that's awesome. What's the wedding gonna be like? Where's it gonna be at? What's it looking like? I love weddings.
So the wedding is in North Carolina, on the beach.
Oh God, jealous.
And our reception's at a country club, and it's a destination wedding, but we are going to our honeymoon right after in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really looking forward to it.
God, congratulations! I'm so happy to hear that. Hope it goes just really peachy keen. Gotta say.
Oh, thank you.
And where does your fiance? He goes to Tech, you said.
He is a grad student at Tech.
Oh God, good for him. Good for him. Is he as excited as you are?
Well, I would hope that he is as excited as I am, but he's a guy. He's just, he kind of is like, you got it.
Yeah.
And I'll be there.
That's my big thing. I'll be there down the aisle waiting for you, and you just plan it all.
Pretty much.
Well, hey, we love that. All right, so let's move on to the next question, and this is just simple, nothing school related. Dogs or cats?
All right, so definitely dogs, but I do have a cat that I rescued, and I'm allergic to cats.
Uh-huh.
But I still really love her, so.
Okay. All right. Well, do you have any dogs?
I have 3.
Oh, wow. I love it. What kind? Let me know.
I have an Australian Shepherd, and
Beautiful.
then I have 2 miniature Australian Shepherd and Pomeranian mixes that are brother and sister.
Oh, that's so cute. All right. Well, I won't tell your dogs this, but out of all 3, who's the favorite?
Definitely the Australian Shepherd.
Wow.
Lola, she's the oldest, and she was my baby, so she will always be number 1.
Yeah, I feel that. Something about those first, they just, you can't forget them. They're always the best. All right. Now, second question. This is a real wild card one here. Okay, so you've been given an elephant. You can't give it away, and you can't sell it. What do you do with it?
Keep it in my backyard and ride it on the weekends.
Yeah?
Yep.
God, good quality
And
stuff.
I might even take it to work.
Yeah?
Instead of my car.
God, love that for you. God, big elephant girl right here. Oh, man. Okay. These questions just keep getting better, gotta say. So, so you were once a math major. That was once the move, so you got a little bit of experience here, so you might be able to figure this one out. How many pennies would fit in this room?
Probably 1,067,000.
1,067,000. Is that just a straight up guess, or do we do some quick math?
That's a straight up guess.
It's a straight up guess. Gotta say, that's a good answer. I'd go with that one too. I don't know. It's stressing me out just looking at this room thinking about it.
I can't even imagine.
All right. Well, good answer. We'll take it. Maybe one day someone will figure it out. All right. So, what's your dream superpower?
I would love to fly.
Fly.
Yes.
Why? Out of all the superpowers, why do we just want to fly?
So, growing up, my dad lived in Colorado, and my mom lived in California. So, I flew planes throughout my entire life, basically to visit both parents. And I always thought that if I had a superpower, I could just fly whenever I wanted.
Wow. So that's meaningful superpower behind that.
Yeah, there is pretty meaningful. I would love to fly.
Yeah, I would love to fly. I think that'd be a really good one because you can just get up and go whenever. All right, so let's go back into this more serious stuff here. So, what would you say out of your 4 years here at Bridgewater College, what was probably one of your most greatest challenges? What's the greatest challenge we faced, or maybe currently facing?
One of the greatest challenges was to take the responsibility of being on my own and not having my parents to rely on. Just balancing the workload and having a part-time job was probably something that it took me a while to get the hang of things, but it definitely has made me into a more mature, well-rounded person, and I'm very thankful for it.
So something you definitely needed.
Something I definitely needed, yeah, to just know what it's like to make my own money and to do things for myself and to make my own food. Yeah, definitely, it's definitely prepared me to be living on my own.
I completely understand that one. So for incoming students or current freshmen now who probably are, I guarantee, facing the same challenge, what's your advice to them as someone who's gone through the ropes and has overcome this challenge? What's your advice to them who might be currently struggling? What would you say to them?
I would tell every freshman to take a moment to just take a deep breath and to try to get out there as much as they possibly can. Talk to somebody, say hi to every person you meet, join some clubs, because the more you interact with other people, the easier it's going to be and the less homesick you will be.
Oh, that's great advice. How long did it take you to finally get in the groove of things? Did it happen recently, or did, maybe after freshman year, did we start kicking in?
Probably after freshman year. By sophomore year, I had my friends established, so it got a lot easier.
All right. Do you think that that college itself, does it get easier?
Academic wise, maybe within your major it might, if you get more into your major. You definitely have those hard classes every once in a while. It does get easier in certain aspects but harder in others. You definitely do get used to it, and it is so worth it at the end.
That's probably quite relieving for those who are out there listening. If you're struggling now, take this advice from Sheyenne. And so last quick question, well, not last, but quick question. Coke or Pepsi? Real quick.
Definitely Pepsi.
Okay, interesting. And last final question for the last hurrah. What was your greatest accomplishment within these 4 years?
My greatest accomplishment is definitely just graduation.
Yeah.
I'm so looking forward to it.
Yeah, all right. Well, awesome. Well, thank you, Sheyenne. I hope you've enjoyed your time here at Bridgewater. I guarantee you've certainly made an impact and you won't be forgotten. And, I wish you the best of luck. Hope you make all your dreams come true and have fun at your wedding. Post lots of pictures. I'm going to like them.
Oh, I will. Thank you.
Of course. And there you have it, folks. Sheyenne, we'll miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheyenne and Lexi. It was wonderful to hear into how your college days have gone so far, Sheyenne.
Yeah. Up next, we have the end of an era. It's the last Squawk Talk with Jacob and Raymond.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a lot quieter on the air without those two.
Yes, it is. Tonight they will be talking about some of their great stories from their college days, which this could get interesting.
Keep it appropriate, guys.
Hello, Bridgewater Eagles.
Good evening. Welcome back to Squawk Talk, the radio segment made by Eagles for Eagles. I'm Jacob Neff.
I'm Raymond Alexander, and this is Squawk Talk.
Absolutely.
But it's our last one, Jacob.
It is our last one. I will be back, but Mr. Raymond is leaving the nest, so to speak. Get it?
Yep,
Eagles
I am
nest?
leaving, and we decided to bring back a segment that ended up not being on air that one time.
Yes.
We were talking about fun stories that we had at BC, and remember I had that really good one about my car.
Yes, let's start with that one for sure.
Alright, so this one was about sophomore year.
Yep.
It's about 2 years ago, I guess. About this time of year, too. It was April. Because we just had gotten J-term was still there, so that means we were right in the middle of the second semester. Good old J-term. And
rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. It was a Friday. For some reason, there was snow shower that day. It was pretty cold. It was pretty weird April that year. I had a coupon to Barnes & Noble. Decided to use it. So me and my roommate, we pile into my little car, my Beetle. And we start heading out. Now, it's snowing. Pretty good, right? And I guess I should say, the wipers aren't the best on my car, okay? So we're going down there, we're going down to 81, going to Barnes & Noble, so that'd be like, what, exit 2, like 47, something like that.
Yeah, it would be.
And so I'm getting there, I'm about, I don't know, mile out, so wiper stops working, I should say.
And by the way, because I think it's important for context, what car do you drive, Raymond?
I drive a 1971 Volkswagen Beetle.
Okay, so it shouldn't necessarily be too surprising that the windshield wipers went out.
Yeah, they didn't.
But I digress.
So they go out, and we were already near the exit, so I just we'll just go in, get out, or we'll wait it out in the Barnes & Noble, and then we'll drive when, I don't need to use wipers or anything. So we go in there, and so I usually buy movies when I have my coupon, right? And I go there, I don't really have something in mind for what I'm going to buy. I kind of just go in there and I kind of browse, cruise the media section.
Sure.
And so as we're in there, and I think 30 minutes passed or something like that, my roommate comes, he's like, I don't think it's going to let up, so we probably should go. I look out there, and it's gotten worse. It's coming down pretty hard now. And So, I end up picking up Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. I will never forget this movie just because I bought it during this thing. So I bought it, got it for 20% off, plus another 10% members, because, you know, gotta have that members discount.
Heck yeah.
So I got it for pretty cheap. Pretty win-win situation for me. I get in the car, turn it on, check the wipers one last time. Still didn't work. I look at my roommate. I said, all right, I guess we're gonna have to test it. So we're going out there. We're going out there on 81, all right? The snow is now kind of piling up on the windshield. So I look to my roommate, and I reach behind my seat, and I get my little ice scraper / brush, and I look to him, and I say, hey, could you do me a solid? So he winds the window down, like winds it, because it's so old that you actually have to wind that window down. And right now he's like hanging out of the window a little bit and brushing it off. But he can't reach all the way over to me, so he can only brush it in the middle of the windshield. So at this point, I'm kind of sitting in the chair, but a little to the right, so I can see the highway. I'm still going about 65, 70. You got to keep up with traffic, you know.
Of course.
At one point, I do remember passing people in the left lane with my roommate out the window, and he comes back in because his hand's cold by this point from doing this. So then the snow's piling up, so I'm looking down at the little crack between the snow and the bottom of the windshield to see out, and for some reason it's like melting at that point. It's kind of like hot there. I put my hand up on the windshield. It's kind of hot. I don't know why it's hot. We get over back in the right lane, tractor trailer passes us, and we start to smell this Sharpie smell, I should say. You know that fresh Sharpie when you put the cap off? It's like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I look at him, I look at my, did you say it's a great smell?
I like the smell of Sharpie. I won't apologize for it.
I look at my roommate and I say, now that was the tractor trailer, wasn't it? And he said, I think so. And I was like, I hope so, man. Like, not even a minute goes by, I don't think. And from my left leg, I can see a little smoke start coming out of the, from underneath the steering wheel. I look at him and I say, that's not a good sign. Then a loud bang and a pop, and then my four-ways come on, and then I'm pulling over, and we're not even at exit 243 yet. So we still got a good like 4 miles to go to get back in this snowstorm. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, okay. I call my dad. I tell him about the issues. He says, honestly, just get off 81 and go on 11, and just nurse it home. So basically my roommate once again had to get the brush out and brush it till we got home on 11 and get it on there, right? But like 4-ways were flashing. The windshield wipers, by the way, were stuck in like the dead middle of the windshield too. Like they're literally in my line of sight.
Didn't even have gone all the way to the back.
No, they were just kind of like straight up. It just wasn't looking good. And I'm driving back, and I'm like really, actually at this point, kind of worried about this because you know me, I really get myself into dumb situations when driving.
Yes, you do.
Doing some very not recommended stuff, but in the moment I don't really realize it. After it, I'm like, dang, I really could have messed up there and really been in a bad situation. But yeah, we ended up making it back when the wipers stayed up in the middle of the windshield for, I'm pretty sure, the rest of the year. Until I got home to actually fix it. Took me a month to fix the problem after like pretty much trying to isolate everything, and it ended up just being a bad wire in the entire system that kept blowing a fuse. That was what the loud pop was, and the smoke was from a fuse that blew.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and I remember that was one of my favorite moments, or most memorable. I'll never forget that, especially passing people in the left lane with someone hanging out the window.
Yeah, I can imagine that was quite a shock for the other people on the road.
Honestly, yes, people were looking at us, and it was very, yep, rightfully so, I will say that.
That's too funny. It's funny, I would think back on my, the majority of my time at Bridgewater, I really don't have any specific stories, because there's so many, I think every day is so memorable, like with very small things that really add up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy to think about. But yeah, other things too. I mean, things that definitely learned a lot and about how not to do things. I remember, I remember poor Thomas Holden
who is unfortunately no longer with us, and what a fantastic guy he was. But such incredible stories about him. I lived in Heritage with him, and he one night decided he was going to cook bacon, regardless of anything, was going to cook bacon. And he cooked one batch and set the smoke alarms off. Now, for those of you who have lived in Wright and or Heritage at this time, and even now I would say, the smoke detectors are incredibly sensitive, so it doesn't take much. But the thing about it is that he set them off not once or twice, but 3 times in the same night. So
how like spaced out were they?
The timing was like within hours. And this was when I say the middle of the night, I mean 3 and 4 a.m. So Thomas was hated. Everyone just could not understand why he had set the alarms off 3 times. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And there's so many cooking stories like that, too. I think that's what was so funny about living in dorms.
Res halls?
Yes. Yeah, res halls, excuse me. Sorry, you can't say dorms. Can't say dorms. They will get you.
Do you happen to remember, I think it was a freshman year, so this was also in Heritage, the elevator, someone put the, like a weekend, it was like a Friday night, someone put the, someone like, used to like lock their bike up on a trash can, and they just took the trash can and the entire bike and put it in the elevator. I remember that. That was hilarious.
I can't believe I didn't see that.
They were just in the elevator, like, they just left it there.
Wow.
Because someone thought it'd be funny to like take the thing, put it there. I just remember also, the dumbest thing that we do, like over in Dillon, like freshman year, we'd take the phones and like flip the receivers upside down and just constantly do it. Like there's no point, no reason behind it. It was just
Dillon's was a scary place to be.
It was a fun
that was a wild res hall.
You know,
Holy
I thought
cow.
It's funny because I thought Heritage was the wild one. I thought Dillon was tame.
Oh, well, that's interesting. That is interesting. Yeah, well, we certainly had our share of wild ones.
Yeah, you did.
That's
I also remember last year. Do you remember someone like took the cones and started like throwing them up like either on the top of Blue Ridge or like in the trees?
The traffic cones?
Yeah.
No.
Do you remember that? It was like towards the end of last year. Because I remember going to my like 9:30 on a Tuesday, Thursday, and like me and my roommate were walking to it, and we would just see like the cones in the trees, and they stayed there for the rest of the semester because no one took them down.
Do you remember the cupcake?
Yes, that was on the KCC window.
That
stayed,
just stayed there
and then
for
someone took it off, and then someone put a tea bag up there.
Unbelievable.
My favorite one was the fact that like in that little thing between Blue Ridge and the KCC, they had that sidewalk redone, and they had to put the campus police out there because someone kept trying to like draw something in the freshly laid cement because we're just we're kids and
we're at a liberal arts school. You can't expect liberal arts students not to take advantage of a fresh canvas.
That was actually really funny because like they were sitting out there on like the Blue Ridge steps just watching it, and like that was their job. They get paid to do that. It's because we're just too stupid.
That's a difficult job.
It is. We've done just really out there stuff, really dumb stuff.
Yes, the beds in the restrooms in Heritage freshman year.
Oh, I did hear about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
There are beds in there. Someone went to the restroom in washer and dryer, and so that was an interesting event.
Someone went to the restroom in the hall. In Dillon, like right before Christmas break. And and we got an email about it, and I was like, well, that was after I had already left, so like definitely wasn't me. Still had to pay for it though.
Unbelievable.
It was in front of someone's door, like they would open the door and like it was just there.
Wow.
Dillon was it was pretty wild, but we had boxing matches in the hallway.
Sure.
Because someone had boxing gloves, so we would just have boxing matches.
Unbelievable.
It was fun though. We also had Nerf guns, so we had Nerf wars.
Oh, Nerf wars are a must.
Honestly, there should be a campus-wide Nerf war. That would be fun.
I think so too. I think so too. I don't know if we could get away with it.
No, we wouldn't. That's a pipe dream. That never is gonna happen.
Yeah.
But that'd be pretty cool. Like, cause
Maybe
like
water guns,
you know how they have like paintball arenas and stuff like
Yes.
that. They should have one for like Nerf guns.
Heck yeah.
That'd be pretty cool, honestly.
That would be cool.
That should be in like the next 20 years we get those started. I feel like that could definitely work. Although finding all the little dart things is absolutely...
It would take forever.
Especially like depending on where you have it. Like, do you have it in like an actual room or do you have it in like paintball stuff?
Fair question.
I think it's a room because like honestly like searching in the grass would be a pain. So
absolutely. You would never find them.
yeah,
It would take forever.
it'd be fun though. Like really fun. Like I'd pay money for that.
No doubt.
Like that would be just a great thing.
Great fundraiser idea.
I mean, yeah, it'd be fun to do that on campus too, because like you can like hold it in like res halls or something like that.
Yes.
It'd be like, cause like they still got the gotcha game going, and that's gonna take forever to finish anyway.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like no one's gonna win that.
No.
At least this semester.
It's not meant to be won.
Yeah, no, it's not. And well, there's still eggs being like, you can find eggs.
No, I think the last one has been found.
I didn't see a single one.
No, I think because the people with 8 a.m.s, those darn overachievers.
Yeah, no, like seriously, I know people that got up at 7:30. They saw the email. They should put that email out at like noon or something.
Yep.
That would have been so perfect for me. And they found them all, and I was like, I know one person had like 8, and I was like, okay, come on now, there should be like a
That's
one
right.
limit. There should be like
That's
a one limit thing. You get one shot at that $70 thing. No,
That's
you're
right.
done. You're done. One and you're done.
Unbelievable.
Cause like I hear they like dropped them in like a pile, so like or like kind of like very like they cluttered them.
Right.
So like it's pretty easy for someone to get like 8.
Correct.
I was like,
Yeah, I think next year that will be done differently. I think in hindsight they probably want to do that differently. But folks, that's all the time we have. Raymond, it's been an excellent ride here on Squawk Talk.
yeah, it has
Thank
been.
you.
Hopefully someone takes over for me.
Absolutely. I have no doubt. I believe Justin is a
Rogers.
fantastic talent. I think Justin will be carrying on the tradition.
Yeah.
Hopefully he'll do a fantastic job. But one last time, we're signing off. This is Jacob Neff.
Raymond Alexander.
Have a wonderful night, Eagles.
Thank you so much, Jacob and Raymond. You have led an era in Squawk Talk, and I'm excited to see what you both do later in life. Next up, we have Robin, Amanda, and Danielle doing an interview amongst themselves, roundtable style. They will be reminiscing about the years here at Bridgewater and discussing their plans for the future. Take it away, ladies.
All right, hi everyone.
Good evening,
Good
everybody.
evening.
Yeah, good
Thanks for
evening.
tuning in tonight.
Our final segment of the broadcast. I'm Robin,
I'm Danielle.
I'm Amanda.
and as you heard, we're gonna be talking about everything. We are all seniors.
All graduating.
Yeah.
So what's it like this being y'all's last broadcast, especially as people who used to run this?
Yeah.
Really? I don't know. It kind of just hit me like when we came in tonight, like with the whole like the thing with Brophy and like beforehand. I was like, wow, like,
Yeah.
this is our last one.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've been trying to hand things over to Justin and Brandon, who are going to be the new radio directors, kind of early just to help ease them into it.
Right.
And then tonight, it was actually kind of nice because I got to sit back and enjoy the broadcast again without being in charge.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, it's been a lot of fun doing the radio these last 3 years. Like, I had a lot of fun.
What are some of your favorite moments from the radio?
Okay.
ahead, Robin.
I think when we had Bushman on.
Yeah, I do remember that one.
So we were bringing Bushman in so he could talk about the changes to interterm.
Yeah,
and
that was a huge.
Yeah, and Amanda's my predecessor, Zach, was interviewing him, and all the BC voice dressed up a little nicer, like basically presentation wear, really.
Oh, yeah.
And Bushman came in, and there are I think there are pictures of this on social media, and he was in shorts and sandals and just totally laid back, no bow tie or anything.
And we're all like, oh,
okay.
Hey man, this starts at 8 o'clock. It's like casual attire for the
He
president
was
at
like,
that point.
Yeah, I think when he got done, he was like, yeah, it's my bedtime. Like, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
Honestly, same.
Yeah. What about you?
Oh man.
I always just enjoyed like the conversations we would have like outside of the broadcast. So like when we were sitting in and waiting for our segments, like some of those were the best times.
Yeah, we've had some fun times.
It's a while.
We had some fun here, yeah.
I've appreciated you being by my side and not enjoying sports. So I'm having something to do while everyone else is talking about sports.
You're welcome, and thank you for enduring that with me. So
God.
so many
not
times,
sorry.
yeah, so
I'm
many
not.
times we just banish the sports people
Yeah.
to the other room. Like you can talk about it just over there.
Exactly.
I think one of the best things that has come out of all of this is like our late night tradition.
Yes,
Like just
for
everybody, we finish the broadcast and then everybody goes to late night and just I remember, Robin, I don't know if you remember, but like the last time we went with Megan and Zach in there, I mean, we must have been in there for like an hour and a half. We just had so much fun. Like that I've always enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
Just like everybody's really close here and whatnot. So.
That's something I'm definitely just proud of in general is, yeah, I've been here the entire 4 years, starting with the first year that Spark Radio and Veritas were put together into what is now BC Voice, and just watching it grow the way it has and watching everyone grow together and like you're saying, like the camaraderie we've built where we have the great conversations outside of the broadcast and we have our late night traditions has just been really nice because it's not just a job.
Yeah, no, it doesn't feel like one.
I always look forward to like these kinds of things. Like,
yeah,
I feel like we've just all gotten so close over these past 4 years, and it's neat watching the other people come up and like take a really y'all's
that's been the
staff
weird thing
writers.
is like because that's what the different thing was with our like Robin, myself, Raymond, and Raymond is we've had our positions for 2 years.
Yeah.
And most of the time you have people that have it for 1 year. So like that was something different. So we really like grew into our roles and like kind of made them what they are. And so now I guess passing them on to somebody else just feels weird, but it's also like
The other thing is like we also grew with Brophy. Like I think that's where we had the advantage is that Brophy was also new.
Yeah, we were all new.
So we were all here ready to develop this into something better than what it was, and we're leaving it behind better. And now it's pretty much like the only lead person remaining is Danielle Brooks. Yeah, and she's gonna do amazing.
Our editor-in-chief for the paper.
She's awesome.
But we've got a new advisor and everything, and I it's gonna be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, I remember, and like when I first started taking this, I took it because I heard it was like an X class or whatever, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to write for the paper all the time, and I don't like that side of things. But then I discovered the radio and the podcast side of things, and that's what I really enjoy. So I mean, I'm really glad I signed up for that. I signed up for that class, and it's definitely it's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it. So.
And I did not want to be on the radio.
Yeah, you were on the complete other side.
So I started off writing, and then like y'all were struggling to get people for segments, and I was like, oh, I'll just do one then. So I ended up coming, and then here I am, still here.
Yeah, it was a little weird for me because I had never done any journalism really in high school.
Yeah,
same. I joined the journalism class my senior year.
Oh, nice.
As I started to figure out what I wanted to do, and I was definitely leaning towards radio. But I was incredibly anxious. I still have anxiety, but one thing I've definitely gotten a lot more comfortable going in presentations and I think part of that came from being on the radio and like it's safe in a way because no one sees you. Yeah. But also having the support behind it has just been great. And even though I haven't really been on the radio since I took over,
you've been behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I find I'm way more comfortable in this room than I ever was in our like host booth. So like this seems so much more natural.
This new room that we have is great.
This is definitely a crowning achievement right here.
Absolutely, yes.
It's been great for everything.
Yeah, it's definitely been great for podcasting.
I can imagine,
Yeah.
So what do y'all hope for the future of BC Voice?
I think, so
I think, I mean, obviously we're all leaving. Brophy's leaving. Like, I mean, it's going through another massive change.
Yeah.
And so, and with Dewey coming in, obviously there's going to be some changes because she will just see things differently, and there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I think, like, but I just hope that it stays as strong as it is, because I feel like we've really brought it up, and with the stories we've written in the paper that have gotten students' attentions, faculty's attention, like, I just hope that stays, and we still kind of stay relevant with times.
Absolutely.
And I just hope that, I guess with the radio, that sometimes we used to have it in the KZC. I know it's hard to work that out, but I just hope that we can get more listeners on campus. Like that's what I hope.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I definitely agree. That's having the radio be more visible would definitely be great. Like I think we've definitely
and having like more guest speakers.
That would be awesome. You know, like Amanda said, we definitely have been able to grow a lot with the paper, and we've gotten people's attention.
Yeah.
And so having that for the radio would be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To kind of put them on the same level almost.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because it's the one organization.
Exactly. It's all BC Voice.
Exactly.
And I mean, now, like, you go around campus, students know what that is.
Yes.
They're not like, oh, we have a school newspaper.
Yes.
Like, no, like, they know what that is, and most of the time, if there's a big story, like, they know what that story is. So they know what's going on.
Yeah.
So.
It's a big advantage to having the paper being what it is now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's definitely helped that we've been able to be on top of those big stories.
Right.
Like, we are an efficient enough group that we're able to cover the things that people are talking about.
In a timely,
timely
manner.
Yeah.
They weren't always well liked by the students.
Or
but
the
that's
faculty
what journalism is. You're not here to please everybody. You're here to tell the truth.
And we're not a PR piece for the college.
Exactly.
Damn.
No, that's exactly
Snaps to
right. Exactly right. 'Cause, yeah, there have been some times where the faculty have not been happy with us.
Not just faculty.
Yeah.
It's just everybody. But, you know.
Yeah, we're not naming names.
We did our job.
Y'all know who you are.
Yeah.
So, man, out of this, that's stage question, never mind. I was going to ask what the best of the cover was, but maybe not.
Still in the air.
Yeah,
so.
you're right.
Yeah.
So, I guess, what's everybody got going forward? What's everybody's futures plans?
That question.
Yeah, it had to come
question.
up. It had to come up.
And we're going to get it again over Easter break and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, all the family's going to ask.
Yeah. I'm definitely hoping to stay with radio.
Okay.
But I'm open to anything in the communication field, at least. Just so I can develop and grow. I've been looking at internships with the Olympic Training Center.
Oh, cool. Out in Utah?
Colorado,
actually.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So, my brother-in-law works there.
Oh, okay. There you go. You
gotta have those connections.
Gotta get the connections.
Yeah. It helps to have
I mean, that's
an
how you
athlete
get
or-
places is through connections.
Exactly. Good to have an athlete in the family.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, I'm actually so I'm staying in the golf field. That's really what it's not what I came in wanting to do, but through playing golf and communications and it's what I want to do. So I'm moving to North Carolina, and I'll be working golf tournament operations, but there's with some communication stuff on the side, so like some media stuff for the golf part. So I'm keeping the radio and stuff in there. I definitely, if the opportunity came up to do like a side radio show or just record podcasts, I'd be all for it. I love doing it.
Yeah.
So I definitely don't want to let that part go.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll be here for another year.
Yeah,
so.
You're not going anywhere.
No, I'm not really going anywhere. I'm doing the master's program here for digital media strategy. That's the first time I haven't messed up the name of my program.
Hey.
So I'm
There
very
you go.
excited to be staying here and studying and, hanging out with the professors more.
You can report.
I can report what's going on.
How the changes
I'll probably have class while they're doing broadcasts.
Yeah.
So
We've got an insider.
you better watch out.
They're gonna have someone reporting on you.
So if anything goes wrong, step in and be like, no.
Brandon and Justin are gonna get text from us like,
exactly.
what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly. We're keeping an eye
They'll be
on.
like, they're late today, guys.
Yeah.
Of course, like you said, it's not a BC Boys broadcast if something doesn't go wrong
Exactly.
first.
If there's not something wrong, we haven't done our job.
I don't know how many listeners were here at the beginning, but we had a technical difficulties. I mean, but you know what? It gives us. The fun thing is, it's always a new challenge every time.
You know,
we can find
never the same
new
thing.
ways to fix our audio.
Exactly.
And we learned an important lesson from this about the importance of the little white USB thing that I bolded on the instructions.
Nice. There you go.
Hey, it's always a learning experience, and that's the only way you can do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, it just kind of like hit me today, especially
Mhm.
with this being our last broadcast, that like graduations, I mean,
it's right around the corner.
here. Like the finish line is right there.
I mailed my announcements today.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
it's so hard to believe.
Today with Brophy, that's when I think it really started to hit me.
Yeah.
When she was giving us our cords and our senior gifts, which was really sweet. And thank you again for that, Brophy.
Yes, absolutely.
And then I remembered that she was our first comm professor.
Yeah,
Like,
we all three of us and some of the other seniors that are here, we all started off in the same 2:30 class, and so it's only right that we're all finishing it together.
Absolutely. And Brophy is also finishing her journey here
That's
with us, so it's really cool. And that was her first class she taught. So.
Yep. It's all come full circle.
It really has, and now I'm gonna go cry.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Off to late night one last time.
One last
time.
All right, so signing off.
Yeah, signing off for the last time.
Oh gosh.
All right. Thank you guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, Robin, Amanda, and Danielle. It's been wonderful to hear about your journey so far, and I'm so excited to hear where it goes from here.
Alright, thanks everyone for tuning in.
Yes, thank you so much.
This is our final broadcast this semester. Can't wait to listen to you guys on the other side next year.
I'm very excited. Start back up in September.
Alright, so from all of us here at BC Voice, I've been Robin.
And I've been Tristan.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, guys.